This person was the one who had come to the Luo Gate celebration and tried to give them an imperial edict, the vice leader of the Heaven-Melting Valley. He had almost been killed by a slap from Long Chen, and Long Chen didn't even remember his name. The current him was standing in front of some books, seemingly hesitating. When he saw Long Chen, killing intent exploded out of him. Long Chen's slap last time had almost broken his head, and he only woke up 3 days later. After learning what had happened, he was infuriated and wanted to directly kill Long Chen but was stopped by Long Yenzong. Killing people inside the academy was taboo. In fact, even before he managed to kill Long Chen, just starting a fight might disturb the inner academy's experts and cause him to be killed. If he failed to kill Long Chen and was then executed, that would be the worst-case scenario. The Heaven-Melting Valley couldn't lose him. If they wanted to kill someone in the inner academy, they had to find an appropriate opportunity. They had been thinking all these days for such a chance, but now Long Chen suddenly appeared in front of them. As a result, his killing intent automatically erupted. Let alone Long Chen, even an idiot could sense this killing intent at this distance. Long Chen sneered inside. This person was truly an idiot. Was he openly telling everyone that he wanted to kill Long Chen? Was that to make others afraid? How is this any different from courting death? Long Chen, just wait. Don't let me get a chance, or you know what will happen, he said. Long Chen shook his head. This person was unable to pose any threat to him. He had neither power nor brains. Hence, Long Chen couldn't be bothered to waste words with him. Long Chen just so happened to see a certain tome on the bookshelf in front of him, Heaven-Shaking Sword. Long Chen was surprised to see it there. Why would a technique with such a name appear in the flame element section? Suddenly, thinking of how this fellow was dithering in front of it, he guessed that it wasn't an ordinary technique. He then looked at the price and saw that it was actually 750,000 immortal crystals. No wonder that this fellow was hesitating. With such a price, this fellow didn't seem confident in learning it. Seeing him glaring over, Long Chen had an urge to slap him. But it was forbidden to do so in the Divine Scripture Pavilion. He didn't want to get punished for a few days because of this fellow. Scram. Don't irritate others here. Long Chen grabbed that tome. The tome lit up, and 750,000 immortal crystals on his crystal card vanished. Light enveloped Long Chen, and he vanished into the room. Seeing that Long Chen had chosen the technique he had been pondering over, he was enraged. But since Long Chen was already gone, he could only grit his teeth and leave. Fiery swords manifested before Long Chen's eyes, streaking through the air. Their intense heat twisted the space around them. Condensing life swords using one's core flame. Using the heart to nourish them. By constantly absorbing the essence of heaven and earth, these are life weapons that can grow along with you. The immortal world's laws are truly different. This is impossible in the mortal world. No wonder it was so expensive. This technique brought endless benefits. The stronger one's core energy, the more flame swords could be condensed, and the greater their power. This technique was similar to Luo Bing's runic swords. Her runic swords were condensed by her bloodline power, and with her bloodline power, she could only condense a few hundred. However, with this technique, as long as you had enough core energy and the spiritual strength to control it, you could have unlimited flame swords. Long Chen was delighted. If he could summon tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of these swords, just how terrifying would that be? Couldn't he be like Meng Qi and simply slaughter his enemies with a thought? Long Chen immediately had Hua Long learn it, and it instantly grasped the technique. Small flame swords appeared in Long Chen's hands. They were only 3 inches long and were made of flame runes. Moreover, they had Long Chen's spiritual imprint, and they were like a part of his body. He controlled them with his soul, and they began to float in the air, revolving around him. An incense stick's worth of time later, there were hundreds of flame swords around him. This was the result of Long Chen's spiritual strength and Hua Long's core energy. However, these flame swords were still in their initial form. They didn't have much killing power yet, and they would need to grow. That would require his spiritual strength, Hua Long's core energy, and the outer world's flame energy. The 3 of them combined would make these swords stronger. Hua Long wanted to continue condensing them, but creating them definitely posed some damage to Hua Long, and in order to keep it in its best state, he was stopped from creating more. He told Huolong to only condense more when it wouldn't affect it. There was no rush to condense more of these heaven-shaking swords. However, Huolong was his strongest trump card and couldn't be weakened. After learning it, Long Chen ran over to the Immortal Institute, and in the Immortal Scripture Institute, he picked out 10 fighting immortal arts for the Luo Gate's disciples to learn. Just like before, he learned them himself and taught them all to the students. After that, he returned to his residence and took out his pill furnace. He looked at the list he had been given and got to work. Time passed. After 3 days, the disciples of both guilds once more gathered. Long Chen had finished refining all the medicinal pills they had asked for. It went without saying that with Huolong and the Moon and Star refining furnace, refining pills became easy. After just refining them 2 or 3 times himself, Huolong and the Moon and Star refining furnace memorized the process and could refine them themselves. With the Primal Chaos Bead, he had an endless supply of medicinal ingredients. It was truly a bottomless cornucopia. He could refine as many medicinal pills as he wanted with no loss. When those pills entered the hands of the disciples, they were incredibly moved. They had been nervous about this. After all, the price of the Academy's medicinal pills was set in stone. An 80% discount? They didn't dare to believe it. However, those pills were now entering their hands, and the quality was even better than when they bought them from the Pill Institute. They could now save a huge amount every month. Long Chen helped them save money with learning techniques, as well as for medicinal pills. As a result, their combat power was constantly rising. Both guilds' disciples were filled with gratitude. Brother San, these are the new members we recruited. Let me introduce you. Mu Qingyun waved her hand, and over 50 unfamiliar faces stepped forward and bowed to Long Chen. Greetings, Boss San. Long Chen's gaze swept over them. His gaze suddenly landed on a woman. Speak, who sent you here? Boss San Yu. The female disciple stared at Long Chen in shock. You don't need to be nervous, and you don't need to use your prepared speech either. Some people in this world can probably lie in front of me, but they're definitely not existences at your level, said Long Chen indifferently. His gaze was completely flat, without any pressure. However, she only grew tenser and even began to sweat. Mu Qingyun also stared in shock at her. This woman was the most outstanding member she had recruited this time. She was a powerful wood cultivator with excellent talent and even specialized in healing arts. Mu Qingyun hadn't expected this person to be a spy. Boss San, the woman opened her mouth but found that she was unable to speak. Looking at Long Chen was like looking into a mirror. The words she had prepared might be able to trick anyone else, but not him. It really was as he said. She could not lie to him. When she realized that, she grew even more anxious. Long Chen's name had spread throughout the inner academy. He had killed multiple experts during the divine competition without batting an eye. He was a truly vicious person. Hence, she began to quiver. Luo Bing, Luo Ning, and the others stared at her. They were surprised. Just how did Long Chen recognize her as a spy? The truth was that when his gaze swept over everyone, only her spiritual fluctuations became extremely intense. However, her face was calm. That instantly exposed her. Most importantly, after being with Chu Yao for so long, he was particularly sensitive to the spiritual fluctuations of a wood cultivator. Thus, he instantly saw the problem. It's all right. You can speak. I won't make things hard on you, said Long Chen with a faint smile. Those? Chu Yang. Her voice shuddered, and it was only with the utmost effort that she managed to speak this name. Luo Bing and the others weren't surprised by this revelation. The only one capable of arranging for spies to infiltrate the unfettered alliance was probably Chu Yang. But they didn't expect him to make his move so fast. Looking pale, she suddenly knelt on the ground. But she was lifted by Long Chen. I won't punish you for being one of Chu Yang's people. After all, you haven't caused us any harm. If you truly wish to stay in the unfettered alliance, we can accept you. You don't need to worry about Chu Yang. However, if you have some family whose lives are in his hands, I have no way to help you. You really can trust me? She stared in shock at Long Chen. I already said that not many people can lie in front of me. If you are willing to stay here, with your talent and aptitude, we will definitely welcome you. Your relationship with Chu Yang was the past. If you sincerely join the Unfettered Alliance, you will be one of our people in the future. I trust you, said Long Chen. I'm willing. I swear on my soul to join the Unfettered Alliance. I, Mu Exen, will never dash. Long Chen waved his hand to cut off her oath. There's no need for such a thing. Since I dared to let you join, I'm not afraid of you betraying us. Now that you've joined the Unfettered Alliance, you will quickly find that this is the wisest decision of your life. Let's move on from this. Go join your group. Long Chen held a simple welcoming ceremony for these new recruits. It was just a symbolic encouragement. It went without saying that these new recruits were truly talented with immense potential. But he also saw some challenging gazes. Those were all thorns, and they viewed themselves highly. But such a thing wasn't necessarily bad. Those people had to at least have some ability, or those thorns would have long since been broken. Once the welcoming ceremony was complete, which could be taken as giving the sweet candy, it was time for the beating. I know that a few of the new recruits have quite a bit of ability. Of course, they have quite some arrogance as well. However, in front of me, it would be best if you reserved that, because that little bit of ability is not worth anything to me if I'm being honest. You've joined our guild, which means that you are lucky. Since guilds have a limited number of slots, our recruitment process will be even more stringent in the future. Perhaps a month later, none of you would be qualified to join. You should cherish this chance instead of thinking of becoming the boss, because with Boss San here, you would be kicked out and regret it for a lifetime. Resources are important in cultivation, and talent is important as well. But sometimes, luck is the most important thing, so treasure it. Move out. They once more set out to the Devil battlefield. After passing through a few transportation formations, they arrived and progressed deep into the battlefield. On the way, he asked Mu Exen some simple questions. Mu Exen's family had relations with the Chu family, so she joined the Chu alliance. Once there, she found that she really didn't fit in, with the most worrisome thing being that those people viewed women as playthings. Furthermore, since her individual combat power wasn't strong, she had to suffer. For her family, she had no choice but to endure. But just a month ago, her mother was killed, and she was the only person she was close to in her family. Moreover, the one who had caused her death was someone else from her family. Because of this, she no longer had any hope for her family, and she also had to suffer in the Chu family. Fortunately, her looks were only average, so she didn't interest many people. Otherwise, she would have been used as a toy. This time, Chu Yang had sent her out as a spy, but she hadn't expected Long Chen to instantly see through her and even be willing to accept her anyway. She felt like she had escaped a sea of bitterness. As long as she could leave the Chu alliance, she was willing to do anything. Does Chu Yang have a supreme archer amongst his subordinates? Asked Long Chen. Yes. That person's moniker is Eagle Eye. He is not a pure-blooded human. He has the heavenly eagle race's blood in his veins and has inherited a portion of their talent. Having frightening perceptivity when it comes to archery, he can easily kill people who are actually stronger than him. Assassinating people across realms is simple for him. It's said that he has never failed to assassinate his target, said Mu Exen. Mu Qinyun curiously asked, Brother San, how did you know? That person tried to assassinate me before. By the time I managed to get over to him, he was already gone without a trace. It really pissed me off, said Long Chen. What? He attacked you? Mu Exen was shocked. She was very clear on just how terrifying this eagle eye was. He had never failed before. Even Luo Bing and the others were surprised. There was no information about an eagle eye in their intel reports. His archery is truly amazing. Other than him, does Chu Yang have any other powerful experts? Asked Long Chen. There's another called Shadow. It's rumored that he's an assassin from the Bloodkill Hall, answered Mu Exen. The Bloodkill Hall? Long Chen's heart shook intensely. Long Chen's heart jumped when he heard the Bloodkill Hall's name. He had almost forgotten it. Moreover, he hadn't expected to hear it again in the immortal world. Is the Bloodkill Hall very famous in the immortal world? Asked Long Chen. Luo Bing said, yes, its assassins are all famed for being merciless and using any means necessary to achieve their goals. They are like a tumor in the immortal world. The Bloodkill Hall's master is Inputa, an extremely hateful and perverted figure. He will do anything for money. Countless experts have lost their lives because of him. A supreme existence even announced that they were looking for Inputa's head, but nothing came from it. It is said that the Bloodkill Hall is backed by the 9 Underworld Hall. Their 9 Underworld hunters are famous, and I'm sure you know of them. So that's the case. It's a den of serpents and rats. If I had known earlier, I'd have wiped out his inheritance in the mortal world. Long Chen hadn't expected the Bloodkill Hall to be on the same side as Lord Brahma. Based on that, for Shadow to appear in the Chu family was nothing curious. To put it frankly, they were all Lord Brahma's dogs. Long Chen, you should be careful. The Bloodkill Hall's disciples are crazy devils. They are capable of doing anything, warned Luo Bing. If it was someone else, I might be cautious. But those dogs of Inputa really aren't anything to me. On the Martial Heaven continent, Long Chen had killed countless believers of Inputa. All the disciples of the Bloodkill Hall had Inputa's faith energy, so Long Chen was incredibly familiar with that fluctuation. Last time, if Chu Yang had sent that shadow instead of Eagle Eye, it was unknown who would have been targeting who. Boss San, guild leader Luo Bing is correct. You really must be careful. Chu Yang actually has 4 skilled killers by his side. Eagle Eye and Shadow are only 2 of them. I was only in the Chu alliance for over a year, so I don't know who the other 2 are. Chu Yang is extremely cautious and meticulous. He's very frightening, said Mu Xian. This startled everyone. Even after being in the Chu alliance for over a year, Mu Xian didn't know who the other 2 killers were? Then Chu Yang truly hid his trump cards deeply. He didn't even trust his own people. Long Chen smiled and said, today, let me teach you another move. You cannot dodge other people's schemes. You can dodge one person's schemes, but not 10 people's schemes. You can avoid 9 of those schemes, but only one needs to be the one that kills you. Rather than focusing all your energy on avoiding all those schemes, better focus on raising your power and increasing the number of your trump cards so that those schemes cannot affect you. You will simply blast through them. A person has a limited amount of time and energy, so you have to use them for the most important things. Actually, I used to like playing some schemes as well, thinking myself smart. But when I suffered a painful loss, I understood just how foolish such a thing was. Just focus on raising your power, on accumulating trump cards others are unaware of, and you will find that the schemes others prepare for you cannot touch you. Just at that moment, devil creatures appeared in the path in front of them and were annihilated by a wave of arrows. It went without saying that compared to last time, their arrows were far more accurate and powerful. Every arrow contained just enough power to kill one of them. A bit more and it would be a waste of energy. A bit less and it wouldn't be an instant kill. This was the precise level of control that Long Chen demanded from them. This was the foundation for training in the piercing cloud arrow. After their experience last time, and the new techniques they had gained this time, these archers could be said to have established a very solid foundation. On the other hand, the newly joined disciples who had felt some arrogance immediately pulled that arrogance in when they saw such sharp archery arts. Once you can control your power, try spreading your mental energy to oversee the entire battlefield. Based on your enemy's position, speed, and direction, as well as the terrain and the way your allies are spread and fighting, calculate the next moves of your enemies to accurately shoot them. This is an important aspect in group battles. Archers can control the entire battlefield. It can be said that the lives of your allies are in your hands. If you cannot judge where your enemies are going in advance, then by the time your allies are in danger, it might already be too late. Here is what I mean by predicting their next move. Long Chen had a bow in hand and pulled back the string. The devil creature at the front is about to jump. Just as he spoke, that devil creature really did jump, and Long Chen's arrow pierced through its head. That arrow had clearly been shot too high, but it just so happened to strike its head when it jumped. On the left, the devil creature has a boulder blocking its way. Based on its pace, it will just happen to stumble over it. Just as he said, that devil creature tripped over a rock, and as it fell, an arrow pierced its head perfectly. Long Chen shot over 10 arrows. Every single shot was clearly off target at first, but then it was like those devil creatures were intentionally throwing themselves into his arrows. Watching him accurately strike their heads like this, everyone was dumbfounded. These new recruits were finally fully convinced, and their previous arrogance vanished without a trace. All experts revered those stronger than them. It might be difficult at the start, but once you can concentrate your mental energy, you will find the world suddenly becomes slow and clear. You will have a feeling that you can predict the next step. After all, these are brainless devil creatures, so there's no need to calculate so much. Once you can reach this level, I can transmit the piercing cloud arrow to you, said Long Chen, letting the archers take over. They continued to advance. There weren't that many devil creatures, and they became target practice for the archers. However, predicting their movements wasn't as easy as Long Chen made it seem. Anyway, Long Chen didn't apply any pressure on them. He had them continue attempting to slowly grasp this skill. On the way, Mu Qingyun sent people to pick up the corpses, but Long Chen called them back. That tiny bit of money wasn't worth the effort. "Brother San, just where are you bringing us?" asked Mu Qingyun eventually. They were getting further and further away from the barrier. They just passed the place that they had fought last time. "We're going to a 4-star danger zone. We'll kill black armor devil creatures. They're a bit stronger than the ones last time, and their natural black armor is quite tough. With our current power, that's the most suitable place. Our goal is to get into the top 100 this time." Just at this moment, the sky shook and a golden war chariot flew over their heads, leaving a streak of gold. It was so fast that it vanished in the next instant, but the rumbling sound still echoed. "It's the Heaven Female Alliance's leader's golden war chariot," exclaimed Luo Bing. "Heavens, that's the private war chariot of the head of the Heaven Female Alliance. The High Firmament Academy's #1 beauty is definitely inside. Did she see us? If she did, that would be the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. I actually saw the #1 beauty's chariot." The men and women of both guilds were incredibly moved. That was just how great the name of the High Firmament Academy's #1 beauty was. Long Chen rolled his eyes. These disciples had gone crazy, no? Just seeing a chariot was enough for them to get so emotional? Then wouldn't they directly pass out if they actually saw her? "Brother San, are you not curious about her?" asked Mu Qingyun. "What is there to be curious about? Is she not just another person with a head on 2 shoulders? We already have so many beauties here, so why bother looking at others?" said Long Chen indifferently. "Hee, Brother San really knows how to talk. But I believe that there's no way you could say such a thing if you really saw Bai Shishir in person," giggled Zhongling. Long Chen looked at the golden streak of light in the sky that had yet to fade. That chariot was truly flashy. What made him speechless was that after her chariot flew over, the disciples got so motivated that there was no need for him to think of a way to encourage them. As they entered deeper into the battlefield, they gradually saw some devil creatures with scales. Their entire bodies were black, and they had claws that gave off a frighteningly sharp glint. When Long Chen and the others arrived, they immediately drew their attention. However, just a few isolated devil creatures didn't pose any danger to them, and the devil creatures were wiped out. Once they reached a certain depth, Long Chen took out a medicinal pill and flicked it into the sky. It then exploded, unleashing a burst of white powder. In that instant, all the devil creatures in the surroundings charged toward them crazily. This time, there was no need for Long Chen to say anything. The high tower was quickly set up along with the formation around it, and the healing warriors were at the center. Everyone rapidly entered their combat state. Those black armor devil creatures were rapidly cut down. Although they were stronger than their last opponents, the Luo Gate and the Unfettered Alliance's disciples had improved immensely. They had learned new techniques and immediately started putting them to use. As for the new recruits, they were all powerful, and although their cooperation was a bit stiff at the start, they quickly got used to it. After all, they were hand-picked elites. The archers had advanced immensely and saved some squads from danger several times. The ones fighting at the front felt even more at ease when they saw that. Unexpectedly, the one who displayed the greatest talent was Mu Exin. Her healing arts were exceptional. Anyone who was injured would find a vine sprout from under their feet and wrap around them, protecting and healing them. Such a powerful healer delighted Mu Qingyun and the others. They could fight with even greater ease now. These devil creatures were truly stronger than the ones before, so the disciples required several people's cooperation to block their attacks. Then others would use that opening to slay the devil creatures. Only a few people dared to fight them one-on-one. If the disciples were injured, their blood and chi would be shaken, and it would give the other devil creatures a chance to kill them. But with a long-range healer like Mu Xian, people were able to fight more freely. Seeing Mu Xian's healing arts, Luo Bing, Luo Ning, and the others finally understood just how important a powerful healer was in a group battle. If all the healing warriors had her abilities, their combat power would rise to a whole new level. In any case, these powerful black armor devil creatures were simply killed as quickly as they rushed over. There was no instance where the disciples were in danger of collapsing like the last time. In just over 4 hours, all the devil creatures were wiped out. Other than some people cleaning up the battlefield, the rest took a break to recover. With the slaughter done, Luo Bing looked at their points and saw that it had reached 290,000. They were rank 267. As for Mu Qingyun's side, they had 230,000 points and were rank 317. They were quickly catching up, showing that the Unfettered Alliance truly did have greater killing power than the Luo Gate. After all, the old elite group had been personally raised by Long Chen. They were extremely powerful existences on the battlefield. The Luo Gate's disciples were still lacking in this regard. Since Long Chen hadn't attacked this time, the Unfettered Alliance was catching up, but Luo Bing didn't mind. After all, they were all allies. Furthermore, they had an advantage over the Unfettered Alliance's disciples because there were more immortal cultivators for them to pick from. Hence, this gap would slowly close. Are you all right? Long Chen came to Luo Ning's side. He saw that she had just consumed a medicinal pill. I'm fine. I got a bit muddled just now from the killing and treated the elite devil creatures as normal devil creatures. Luo Ning shook her head, her face still ever so slightly red. Just talking about it was a bit embarrassing. She had actually forgotten about the elite devil creatures and ended up challenging over 10 of them at once, resulting in a minor injury. Good that you're all right. You have enough power to protect yourselves here. This is a pill to lure devil creatures. As long as you crush it, all the devil creatures within 1,000 miles will be drawn over. With your current power, as long as you are within 4-star danger zones, you should be fine, said Long Chen. He handed over 10 of these pills to Luo Ning. Long Chen, what are you doing? Asked Luo Bing. Long Chen smiled. With your current power, you are safe within 4-star danger zones, but a 5-star danger zone would be too much. It's a rather awkward level. You should stay in the 4-star danger zone for now and train. Once you've grown more familiar with this kind of fighting, I'll bring you to a higher level area. Now, I'll go deeper into the battlefield and see if I can find anything useful to me. With all of you growing, I can't slack. Brother San, be careful, said Mu Qingyun. Long Chen nodded and left, going deeper into the battlefield. Luo Ning curled her mouth. This fellow is definitely saying that we're too slow, so he's going out on his own for adventures. Don't hold a grudge. The difference is too great. We should know our limits, sighed Luo Bing. They then rested for 4 hours. After cleaning up the battlefield, Luo Bing took out a map and led everyone to another region. As for Long Chen, he rushed off on his own. When he saw that no one else was around, lightning wings appeared on his back and he flew through the air like a bolt of lightning. The direction he chose was precisely the direction where the golden war chariot went. The devil battlefield was said to be the entrance to a crack between the immortal world and the devil world. If you followed this crack all the way to the end, it would be possible to reach the gate to the devil world. The devil world here was actually referring to the same place as the devil world spoken of on the Martial Heaven continent. However, the Martial Heaven continent could be considered a desolate land, and the devil world bordering it was nothing more than its lower level. The comparison was like a tree and a leaf. On the other hand, The immortal world was close to the devil world's core. Of course, with Long Chen's level, he still wasn't qualified to touch the history of the devil world or why the martial heaven continent would become a hunting ground for others. There were many things he had yet to learn. The High Firmament Academy's devil battlefield consisted of multiple battle regions. The ones that Long Chen and the others were in were nothing more than tempering areas for disciples, not the core of the battlefield. It was said that the core was under the control of the Battle God Palace. With their power, Long Chen and the others weren't qualified to participate. However, even this trial battle region had powerful existences. Within this region was a 9-star danger zone, the Blazing Devil Swamp. The devil creatures here possessed flame energy. Their bodies were wrapped by flames, and they could unleash powerful flame divine abilities. Long Chen's target was the Blazing Devil Swamp, or to be exact, the cores of the devil creatures that possessed flame energy. Other people might need to withdraw the flame energy within the devil crystals, but Huolong could directly absorb them while ignoring the devil nature of the cores. With those flame devil cores, Huolong could replenish its energy quickly and constantly condense more heaven-shaking swords. After that, the quality and quantity of the heaven-shaking swords would rapidly rise. People with money might directly buy flame element cores or treasures to do the same, but Long Chen could only figure out how to do it himself. There were many devil creatures in Long Chen's path, but they were easily slaughtered. But the further he went, the stronger the devil creatures were. After about 4 hours, he saw the light of fire appear in front of him, and a burning scent hung in the air. The flame element essence here also grew more active. Through a pair of stone mountains, Long Chen saw an enormous swamp. This world was cast in a fiery light. It was just like hell. This so-called swamp was actually lava, and amongst it was hills and fields. Humanoid figures could be seen occasionally crawling out of the lava and running around. They seemed to be apes covered in fire, and they occasionally let out heaven-shaking roars. At the very end of the lava, almost beyond what he could see, Long Chen saw a giant crack that was like a door. That's the checkpoint of this region, and stronger devil creatures can't get through it. Only rank 2 and below can squeeze through. Moreover, only flame element devil creatures come through it. Other devil creatures enter through different checkpoints, thought Long Chen. In other words, beyond this checkpoint should be an even stronger area of lava. These devil creatures clearly lived off of the lava as flame element devil creatures. If the other side had stronger devil creatures, then they would require even more stringent conditions to live. There's people? Long Chen suddenly sensed some fluctuations in the distance. But the flame energy here was too dense, and space was in constant fluctuation. His sense wasn't clear. Long Chen followed the edge of the Blazing Devil Swamp and quickly saw a group of over 100 people fighting the flame devils on the edge of the swamp. It's people from the Heaven Melting Valley. Long Chen instantly recognized the person leading them. It was the one he had almost slapped to death in the Divine Scripture Pavilion. That guy was holding a flame spear and standing at the front, leading the attack against the devil creatures. At most, they would only dare to draw over a few dozen of the flame devils. Once those flame devils left the swamp, they wouldn't be able to replenish their energy and would be a bit easier to kill. Despite only drawing a few away from the lava at once, those flame devils were truly powerful and difficult for those people to handle. Every single one of their punches was like a volcano eruption. As a result, space would compress and deform constantly. That was a kind of innate divine ability. Other than a few selected experts in their midst, the others needed to work together to block these attacks. One mistake and they would be injured. Long Chen saw that amongst them were 2 people recovering with medicinal pills, their faces pale. They had temporarily lost the ability to participate in this battle. After killing those devil creatures, they retreated. Long Chen then saw a camp not that far behind them. They were clearly resting in that tent between attacks. Every time, they would attack a few devil creatures, kill them, and run. They didn't want to draw the attention of too many flame devils. Should I con them? Looking at the face of that vice leader of the Heaven Melting Valley, Long Chen had a certain thought. But that thought was extinguished just as it was born. This was the devil battlefield, a place with extremely stringent rules. It was different from the academy. Here, the rules were set by the Battle God Palace. Since this was a trial region for disciples, everything should be under their gaze. If anything happened to the disciples, they would immediately come save them. After all, these were elite disciples of the inner academy, and they were viewed as important. Conning people here while still not leaving a single trace of himself was far too difficult. Hence, Long Chen abandoned that thought. Looking at them resting and tidying up their spoils, Long Chen directly walked over to the swamp. As soon as he revealed himself, he was sensed. Long Chen was far too conspicuous in his black clothes. "It's Long Chen." The vice leader glared at Long Chen. "Vice leader, should we?" One disciple drew his finger across his throat. "Impossible. The heavenly eye is watching everything. No movements can escape the Battle God Palace. If we did, it would be sensed and we would be executed," said the vice leader darkly. Although he knew that this was the best chance to kill Long Chen, he didn't dare to. "Then what? Should we curse him? Bait him into attacking us and use that as an excuse to kill him? Long Chen might not know the rules here, so should we try it? What is he doing?" Just as the vice leader was nodding, thinking that this was a possible plan, a disciple suddenly cried out, staring in shock at Long Chen. They saw Long Chen going straight toward the lava swamp. Furthermore, they didn't see a single person behind him. Is he an idiot? He knows that we're going to kill him, so he chose to kill himself first? The Heaven Melting Valley's disciples looked at Long Chen like he was an idiot. When he approached the lava swamp, devil creatures came out of the lava and charged at him. At this moment, Long Chen's speed suddenly exploded. Lightning wings appeared on his back, and he shot straight across the lava swamp like a bolt of lightning. This charge caused the swamp to start roiling. As a result, countless flame devils came out of the lava and pounced on him. However, Long Chen ignored them. He shot across the lava with tens of thousands of flame devils chasing him. This huge disturbance continued to draw out more flame devils from beneath the lava. Even from a great distance, the Heaven Melting Valley's disciples were terrified. After fighting these flame devils many times, they all had a similar nightmare of being chased down by countless flame devils, but not being able to run fast enough. It was unknown just how many times they had been woken up by this nightmare that ended with them being devoured. This time, the nightmare manifested in reality, but Long Chen was the one being chased. Countless flame devils were coming out of the lava now. Even the Heaven Melting Valley's disciples didn't know that there were this many flame devils lying beneath the surface of the lava. Just at this moment, Long Chen arrived at the spatial crack at the end of the swamp. He then dived right in, and the countless flame devils followed him. While the flame devils on the other side couldn't go through, the ones on this side could. As Long Chen's figure vanished from their sight, the lava slowly settled. Right now, the Heaven Melting Valley's disciples were still staring, dumbfounded. Long Chen's definitely dead. Even the valley head would lose half his life if he went in there. Other than Fairy Shershur and young Master Chanchuan's groups, anyone who enters the Devil Domain battlefield won't be able to return alive, said the vice leader with a sneer. The Devil battlefield was split into multiple areas. The place that they were in was called the Trial Battleground. On the other side of the crack, though, was the Devil Domain battlefield. The Devil Domain battlefield had no formations protecting it, so the disciples' tablets were no longer life-saving talismans there. If they encountered danger, no experts would be coming to save them. Let's get back to work. We need to gather more flame devil crystals. The Valley Master is just a little bit off from mastering the 4th volume of the Nirvana scripture. Once he masters it, he'll have the power to fight young Master Changchuan and Fairy Shershur. Then our Heaven Melting Valley can contend for the top position. The other disciples were instantly motivated and continued killing the flame devils for their cores. The guild points weren't too important to them as the 3rd-rank guild, as no one could shake them from this position. But these flame devil crystals were to help Long Yenzong comprehend the 4th volume of the Nirvana scripture. Long Chen found that the channel he was in was a current of lava. Behind him, countless flame devils were chasing him. Although their bodies were like apes, they were exceptionally agile in this lava, like fish in water. Long Chen snorted and formed some hand seals. A flame prison then formed around the flame devils behind him, trapping them. Prison slaughter. Boom. The giant flame prison instantly shrank, crushing the flame devils inside. Although the ones right behind were wiped out, there were more coming from further back. He had only temporarily pushed back the danger. Long Chen then summoned the flame prison once more, this time trapping himself inside as protection. Those flame devils tore at the walls but were unable to break them. Heaven's shaking swords. Long Chen smiled and changed his hand seals. The next moment, the space behind him shuddered, and over 1,000 flame swords appeared like a blooming lotus. Those flame swords sped out at the flame devils, piercing through their bodies and injuring them. The power still isn't high enough. But this is already not bad. Long Chen was satisfied with this level. After all, his heaven-shaking swords were still at an early level, but it already had this power. I need to get rid of them here, or bringing so many over to the other side would be dangerous. Long Chen summoned Huolong. With a single claw, Huolong wiped out a wave of flame devils and consumed their devil crystals. In less than an incense stick's worth of time, the flame devils that followed him into the passageway were wiped out. As a heavenly flame, Huolong had a suppressive effect on these flame devils, so killing them was easy. Just as Long Chen had anticipated, these devil crystals weren't really enough for Huolong to grow. Huolong was already so powerful that it needed stronger devil crystals. After wiping them out, Long Chen continued forward. The passageway wasn't very long. It was like a current of lava flowing, with some undercurrents that caused occasional whirlpools. However, when he was about to reach the end of the passageway, the tablet on his waist buzzed, a sign of danger. Once he was past this point, the tablet would no longer be able to save his life when he needed it. After a bit, the alert stopped, and he continued onward. At the same time, he concealed his aura, and flame energy wrapped around him. Suddenly, a powerful current crashed upon him along with immense pressure. Startled, Long Chen stabilized himself. But after looking around, he didn't see anything. He then slowly started rising through the lava. Once he was up, he saw that this was also a flame swamp. However, it wasn't circular. It was a long river going far beyond what he could see. He was at the end of the river where he saw a pool. There was a very rough stone mountain covered in strange lines. At the bottom of the mountain was a large whirlpool that made it very conspicuous. Looking around, Long Chen left a spiritual mark on the mountain to avoid getting lost here. After that, he started climbing up. Just as he quickly reached the peak, he suddenly noticed that the entire mountain was slowly rising. Fuck, what is this? Only then did Long Chen realize that this was no stone mountain but some terrifying, giant fellow. It was a giant beast covered in rock-like scales, and it was standing up. Now, Long Chen realized that it was a giant crocodile. It hadn't been unleashing any aura before this, meaning that it had probably been in slumber. Since there was no danger, he hadn't sensed it. While climbing, he hadn't sensed how terrifying it was. And by the time he was on its head, it was too late. At this moment, the giant crocodile sensed him, and the runes covering its body quivered. Long Chen instantly had a bad feeling. This crocodile actually wanted to send him flying. If this terrifying powerful devil beast of unknown tier sent him flying, would he not be smashed to a pulp? Runes then appeared around Long Chen as his flame energy covered him. Just at that moment, an explosive power came from beneath his feet. Long Chen was sent flying into the air. However, chains bound his body to the crocodile's head. As a flame element beast, Long Chen's flame energy couldn't be instantly broken by it. Long Chen was pulled back toward the crocodile's head. He then formed one-handed seals, and flame swords flew out toward its head. However, his swords didn't even leave a single mark. How the f— Huolong, help me out, shouted Long Chen. Huolong flew out and bit down on the crocodile's head. Sparks flew, but even Huolong's sharp claws and teeth couldn't break its defenses. Long Chen's heart sank. Huolong's claws and teeth were its strongest point. If even they were unable to break its defenses, then it could only be said that its power was too terrifying. It wasn't an existence he could deal with. The crocodile roared, clawing at Huolong. Although it wasn't injured, it was angered. Countless runes now appeared on its rock-like skin. Not good. Long Chen's expression sank. The chains he had bound to its head instantly dissipated. It prepared to send him flying once more. Huolong! Long Chen cried out. Huolong instantly understood and transformed into a chain, wrapping around the crocodile's neck. Boom! The crocodile's body shuddered intensely, unleashing a wave of power that caused Long Chen to almost cough up blood. Fortunately, he was holding on tightly to Huolong's chain and wasn't sent flying. As the crocodile's aura soared, Long Chen felt a terrifying force about to send him flying. He was barely able to keep hold of the chain. Just at this moment, Huolong manifested more chains that bound Long Chen, reducing the pressure on him. The crocodile then roared with its bull-like voice, which shook Long Chen's ears. He felt like his head was about to break. However, now it was difficult for him to fend for himself. All he could do was prevent himself from flying off. As the crocodile struggled, giant waves exploded out of the lava. Long Chen managed to see countless flame devils fleeing for their lives. Those flame devils also had powerful auras. They were at the 3rd rank, but they were scared and fleeing like this. Long Chen grumbled inside. How was he so unlucky to encounter such an existence as soon as he entered? Boom! The crocodile suddenly dove into the lava, but its giant body didn't fully fit. Hence, giant waves and rubble flew through the air. Long Chen was wrapped in flames. Now that he was submerged in the lava, it actually became slightly easier for him to maneuver. The crocodile tossed and turned in the lava, but seeing that it was unable to shake Long Chen off, it charged out once more. Its body was huge, but it wasn't clumsy. Its legs worked nimbly, causing it to rush across the land like a flying boat. It was incredibly fast as it smashed right into a mountain and crushed it. Long Chen coughed up a mouthful of blood from the impact. If he hadn't activated the Azure Dragon battle armor at the last second and protected himself with his astral energy, he would have been crushed to death. Fuck, let's see who can last longer. Long Chen roared furiously. Suddenly, Long Chen wrapped 2 chains around the crocodile's mouth. It was infuriated by this but was unable to break the chains. Moreover, its claws were unable to reach its mouth, driving it crazy. The Academy's records really are accurate. Crocodiles have terrifying biting force, but one fatal weakness is that they have very weak power when it comes to opening their mouths. Long Chen was delighted to have muzzled it so easily. Mush! Like riding a horse, Long Chen used the flame chains as reins, treating the giant crocodile like a mount. As a result, it grew even more infuriated and crazily rolled around. But Long Chen had found the trick, so it was no longer able to injure him. Unable to shake him off, it charged toward another large mountain. Quite a few 3rd-rank devil creatures were blasted apart by its charge on the way. Oh, they count as my kills? Long Chen glanced at his status plate and saw the number rising. The curse of killed devil creatures wouldn't fall on its comrades. If those devil creatures died without knowing how, any human that they saw would automatically have the curse fall on them. The earth quaked as the crocodile rushed around, and a long ditch was made along with it. The devil creatures that were unable to get out of the way in time were killed by the impact or the raging flames. Mush mush mush. Damn thing, go faster. You're too slow. You think you're a badass? I specialize in managing all kinds of badasses. Mush mush mush. The giant mountain was shattered. However, just as they crashed in, Long Chen pushed with his right hand, causing the crocodile's head to tilt slightly. As a result, the upper half of the mountain was destroyed, but Long Chen wasn't injured. By moving the crocodile's head at the critical moment, he avoided a serious injury. Mush mush mush. Run run. If I don't put you in your place today, you won't know just how many eyes your boss Long San has. Just as he was shouting, he suddenly noticed that a group of people had appeared ahead of him, staring in shock. Up in the sky above their location was a golden war chariot. This group of people consisted of all women, but the majority of them had specks of blood on their white robes. One portion was cleaning up the battlefield, while the other portion was resting. This group was precisely the group of disciples from the Inner Academy's strongest guild, the Heaven Female Alliance. They had just finished up a battle and were recuperating. Hence, the appearance of the giant crocodile startled them. Its terrifying aura shook their souls. But the most shocking thing of all was the black-robed man sitting on its head. His fire chains wrapped around the crocodile's head, being used as reins. They even heard him urging it on like it was a mount, so they couldn't believe their eyes. Who is that? He clearly just ignited his divine flame, but he dares to come here and provoke that explosive fire devil crocodile? Hey, don't just stare like idiots. I haven't subdued this thing, so it's not listening to me, shouted Long Chen when he saw the crocodile charge toward them. Who are you? Suddenly, a woman spoke up from amongst the crowd. Her voice wasn't loud, and yet even among the crocodile's thunderous steps, it was clearly transmitted into Long Chen's ear. It was a pretty and melodious voice, but it vexed Long Chen. Who cares who I am? Get out of the way or this fellow's going to start killing people. The giant crocodile was still charging forward, and these women were just foolishly standing there. They actually were in a mood to ask him his name? Long Chen wanted to curse them. Brat, you dare to be rude to our leader? Those disciples were instantly angered. Fuck, are you idiots? If you don't start running now, don't blame me when you get killed. Raged Long Chen at this unreasonable group. Just at that moment, as the crocodile reached them, a person walked out of the group. She was a tall and elegant figure wearing golden imperial robes. With her hair tied up in a bun, she was peerlessly beautiful. At this distance, Long Chen finally got a clear look at her. Not only was her face perfect, but she also gave off a feeling of being a phoenix amongst a flock of chickens even amongst these beauties. Long Chen's heart leaped. This was his first time encountering someone who could compare to Meng Qi, Leng Yuan, and the other's beauty in the immortal world. He instantly guessed that this person was the leader of the Heaven Female Alliance, the Academy's #1 beauty, by Shamelessly. Hey, what are you looking at? Do you think that because you're pretty, this stupid crocodile won't eat you? Shouted Long Chen. The other women beside by Shamelessly were all enraged. They had followed by Shamelessly for a long time and had never seen someone be so rude to her. Any man would feel fear and awe before her. They wouldn't even be able to speak. The only one capable of maintaining their dignity in front of Bai Shamelessly was young Master Changchuan, but even he treated her respectfully. Bao Shamelessly frowned ever so slightly. Looking at Long Chen, she slowly extended her hand, her palm facing downward. What do you want? Long Chen was confused before quickly understanding. He also extended a hand, and it clenched in a fist with his forefinger and middle finger sticking out. After that, he pulled it back, feeling vexed. He then shouted, How old are you? You want to play rock, paper, scissors? Get out of the way. The Heaven Female Alliance's disciples stared at him disdainfully. Did this fellow really think that Fairy Shamelessly would play such games with him? Suddenly, golden ripples came from Bai Shamelessly's hand, and the earth exploded. Golden pillars sprouted from the earth. They were several meters thick and covered in golden runes, forming a circular prison around the giant crocodile. Hundreds of them sprouted at once and then pulled in on it. Boom! The giant crocodile crashed into the pillars. Its momentum caused the earth to shake. Long Chen hadn't expected Bai Shamelessly to be a terrifying metal energy cultivator capable of trapping the giant crocodile, so he was flung off by the sudden loss of momentum. Fortunately, he still had his reins and flew back. However, blood-colored runes then appeared over the crocodile, and a terrifying aura rose. As its body began to inflate, the earth shuddered. Cracks appeared in Bai Shamelessly's golden pillars. Thus, a trace of astonishment appeared in her eyes. This explosive flame devil crocodile's bloodline is actually extremely pure. It has the potential to ascend to the king level. I didn't expect to encounter such a strong devil beast here. Boom! Bai Shamelessly's cage was shattered. Golden fragments flew out like shooting stars, blasting apart distant mountains. As for the women beside Bai Shamelessly, even with those fragments flying toward them, they were calm. Just as those fragments approached them, They suddenly slowed down as if invisible hands were catching them. What terrifying control! She has complete control over them. This by Chercher really is powerful. Long Chen's heart shook. She was definitely worthy of being first on the Earth rankings. Although that was just a casual move for her, Long Chen could tell that she was incredibly powerful. The crocodile roared, but with its mouth bound, the sound came from its nose. It seemed to enter a berserk state, and flames burst out of its body. Suddenly, the Heaven Female Alliance's disciples vanished. They were drawn into the Golden War Chariot, as they couldn't endure these terrifying flames. Even as flames exploded out of its body and into the heavens, as if it was trying to incinerate the very sky, Long Chen continued to sit on its head just like that. Its flame energy was devoured by Huolong, so it was unable to harm him. As long as he refused to get off, he was safe. Golden runes flowed around by Chercher, protecting her. Within that golden light, she appeared even more beautiful, like a heavenly beauty possessing a divine radiance. Bai Chercher stared at Long Chen with some surprise. He was actually able to ignore the explosive flame devil crocodile's flames. "Just who are you?" Bai Chercher asked once more. "Leader, I remember now. This fellow is the one who recently caused a storm in the Inner Academy, a newcomer named Long Chen," shouted a woman from the Golden War Chariot before Long Chen could reply. "So you're Long Chen?" Bai Chercher nodded. "I forgot. The only one to wear black robes in the Inner Academy is you." "Ha, you overpraise me. May I ask for your great name?" Long Chen cupped his fists and smiled. Bai Chercher smiled faintly. Why bother asking such a redundant question? Bai Chercher's faint smile contained a kind of arrogance from within her soul, as well as a coldness that rejected all others. "No, it's not redundant. It's a must-ask question. You don't know my name, so I must act like I don't know your name either, otherwise it would appear like I was lacking manners," said Long Chen. Bai Chercher almost laughed. This was her first time encountering someone like this. He seemed completely frivolous. She thought back to how he had actually tried to play rock, paper, scissors with her when she had been using her magical art. Just what was going on in his head? Bai Chercher didn't bother saying her name and pointed to the crocodile. "This explosive flame devil crocodile has been completely enraged by you and will ignite the power of its crystal core soon. At that time, let alone us, even a divine Lord Realm expert would have to stay back from it. What are you planning to do?" "I'm thinking of turning it into my mount. That way, you'll have your Golden War Chariot, and I'll have this giant rock crocodile. We can then be equals without any feeling of discomfort between us," answered Long Chen. "What?" Bai Chercher felt like she had misheard. She once more examined Long Chen as if checking to see whether he was a fool. "What? Is there a problem?" asked Long Chen. "This is a 4th-rank devil beast, and it even has a king bloodline. Even if you did have the power to subdue it, you wouldn't be able to control it. The devil beasts on the devil battlefield can't be trained into mounts. They're different from the devil beasts in the outside world because they have a special spiritual mark on them. If you dare to summon them into your spiritual space, it will receive a message from the devil world and instantly detonate, killing you with it," said Bai Chercher indifferently. "What a pity," sighed Long Chen. Originally, he had thought that with his spiritual strength and powerful flame energy, it might be possible to subdue this fellow. At that time, when he returned to the academy, he would see who dared to even look at him wrongly. Unfortunately, this dream was shattered now. "Then what can be done about it?" asked Long Chen. The giant crocodile suddenly stopped moving, seeming to be accumulating energy. This sudden calm was frightening. "I'm asking you. It is starting to stimulate its king blood, but it'll take some time. If you run now, you'll make it. Since we're from the same sect, I'll let you ride in my chariot and bring you back to the Inner Academy," said Bai Chercher. The women inside the chariot were shocked that she would say this. No man had ever stepped foot into her chariot, but now she was making an exception for Long Chen. However, when they thought about it, Long Chen was also a disciple of the Inner Academy. If they just let him die here like this, it truly would feel bad. Then wouldn't I have messed around so much for nothing? I'm unwilling. Can you help me kill it? We can split the profits. I just want its crystal core and you can have the corpse. How's that? Suggested Long Chen. Bai Shishir shook her head. Its defenses are too powerful, and its element counters mine. For me to kill it would require me to use my core energy. However, it doesn't have anything I want, so the price isn't worth it. Long Chen was shocked inside. Bai Shishir was truly powerful. She was actually capable of killing such a terrifying existence on her own. Moreover, with her element countered, it showed that she could truly win with power and not coincidence. I didn't expect that the famous #1 beauty in the academy is actually a woman without any sense of responsibility. I'll handle it myself. Long Chen sighed and waved his hand dismissively, indicating for her to leave. What are you talking about? Bai Shishir's expression changed slightly. The tone of his, what else could I be talking about? I was getting control over this crocodile, but then you interrupted me midway, and now it's infuriated. Even then, you want to just pat your butt and leave. After causing such trouble, you're just going to make someone else handle it. Fine. I won't quibble with you. Women are all too timid to handle things. Long Chen shook his hand at her and then lowered his head in thought. You little bastard, you dare to insult our leader? You smelly man, who do you think you are? None of you can even shake our Heaven Female Alliance's position. You dare to look down on women? I don't see you having any special abilities. Long Chen's words had poked the hive. Furious curses came from the golden war chariot. Bai Shishir's expression was icy. She snorted, to use such childish tactics to provoke me into action, do you think that I'm an idiot? Then you didn't fall for it? Asked Long Chen with a smile. Are all men so shameless? Asked Bai Shishir angrily. I don't know about other men, but I'm definitely very shameless. I'm willing to do this because this crocodile's crystal core is very important to me. If I have to be shameless, then fine, said Long Chen, his expression not showing the slightest bit of embarrassment. I thought that you were different from the others, but I suppose that I was wrong. I shouldn't have pitied you and helped you out. Now you're repaying my grace like this. Bai Shishir was angry, and yet even in that anger was a different kind of beauty. Long Chen sighed and said, Isn't that excellent? I gave you a lesson, letting you understand how treacherous people's hearts are. As an instructor, it is my duty to be constantly teaching others. This is my life's mission. Long Chen, you're too shameless. Do you know Fairy Shishir's true status? Roared one of the women in the chariot. Bai Shishir waved her hand, cutting them off. She coldly said, What kind of help do you want? Don't even think about making me use my core energy. Of course, I won't make you pay so much. I just need you to help me keep its mouth open when it opens it. Just half a breath's time is enough, said Long Chen. Just that? Asked Bai Shishir, feeling surprised. Just that. It should be as easy as raising a hand for you. I'm going to start now. Just like that, Long Chen suddenly let go of the reins. The crocodile that was still accumulating power thought that it had broken free of its own power and opened its mouth wide. A pillar of flames then shot out toward Bai Shishir. Bai Shishir was almost caught off guard. Her figure vanished just as those flames were about to reach her. What are you doing? Why didn't you say anything? Raged Bai Shishir. Long Chen was being far too impetuous. Help me hold it. Long Chen suddenly jumped off of the crocodile's body and dove into its mouth. Seeing this, Bai Shishir jumped in shock. His guts were incredibly big and he actually trusted her this much. Was he not worried about her failing or not cooperating? Then he would definitely be dead. Bai Shishir formed hand seals. Metal energy, condense. The earth turned golden and pillars broke out of the ground, weaving like vines into a giant sphere. This giant sphere then wove itself inside of the crocodile's mouth, forcing it open. More metal energy continued to pour into it from the surroundings. Just at that moment, the crocodile's body turned the color of blood, and a sinister aura exploded out of it. Not good. Bai Shishir's expression changed. This explosive flame devil crocodile's bloodline was even purer than she had expected. Even before igniting its crystal core, It was capable of using a supremely powerful divine ability. The next moment, her metal sphere shattered as its mouth bit down. The immense power blew by back. She was filled with shock as she had actually failed to hold on. If Long Chen was still in its mouth, he would be crushed just like her metal sphere. All of a sudden, a golden mark appeared on her pupils. She was about to charge back when she heard Long Chen's hateful voice. "Hey, pretty girl, hurry and set up your defenses." Bai Shishir didn't even understand what was happening before a terrifying aura exploded out of the crocodile's head. It was like a volcano exploding. Boom! A muffled bang rang out and the land shuddered. Some golden fragments flew out of its mouth. At this moment, a hasty golden barrier was erected by Bai Shishir. It was then turned into a sieve by the golden fragments, but Bai Shishir wasn't injured. Once she pulled back her defenses, she saw that the surroundings had been destroyed. Cracks spread in every direction to the end of the horizon. As for the terrifying explosive flame devil crocodile, its head was split open, and a river of blood flowed out. It was dead. Even as the #1 expert on the Earth rankings, Bai Shishir was stunned. She then saw Long Chen lazily walk off of its back. Although his hair was a bit messy, his expression was still calm as if everything had been under control. "Thank you. As we agreed, I'll take the devil core. The corpse is yours." Long Chen found a giant devil crystal inside of its head. It was actually tens of meters thick and had sparkling runes on top of it. Its immense power caused space to twist around it. Long Chen directly put away the devil core, cupped his fists to Bai Shishir, and then ran off. "Wait!" Before she even recovered from the shock of the crocodile's death, Long Chen had slipped away, as if he was afraid of her reneging and wanting the devil crystal. "That little bastard is so hateful. Does he think that our #1 guild would get greedy over his things?" At this moment, the disciples inside the war chariot walked out again, glaring angrily in the direction Long Chen had gone. "He actually called our leader a pretty girl. How brazen. He should count himself smart since he fled, or I'd have to give him a proper lesson about manners," said another disciple. "This fellow isn't a normal person. Just treat him like a madman." Bai Shishir shook her head. Long Chen's actions were completely different from that of a normal person. It was her first time seeing such a person. "I'm just curious what he did to kill this explosive flame devil crocodile. Due to using a magical art, I wasn't able to see clearly. I saw it. Before jumping into its mouth, something was shining in his hand. It looked like a lotus and seemed to contain some terrifying power, but there was something containing the power. When the crocodile shattered your golden sphere, he jumped out, and that thing in his hand was gone. He probably tossed it into its mouth," said an icy-faced woman with a long ponytail. She was the vice leader of the Heaven Female Alliance and also a powerful warrior. Amongst all of them, only she had seen some clues. Bai Shishir nodded. If that was the case, then she could understand. Long Chen was a powerful flame cultivator. If he could blast a magical art inside of the explosive flame devil crocodile's body, detonating its own power to kill it, it was possible. However, his guts were incredibly big. If there had been the slightest bit of slip, he would have lost his life in their first encounter. He was actually capable of leaving his life in the hands of a stranger. That required either absolute confidence or absolute craziness. "Leader, this corpse should be very beneficial to our flame cultivators. Its hide also has flame Dao runes. We can pay a bit to the Formation Institute, and they'll extract those runes to embed them in armor or weapons. That would improve our equipment," said the vice leader. Although they were wealthy, this pure-blooded beast wasn't something they could encounter whenever they wanted. Its corpse was actually very precious to them. Bai Shishir frowned slightly. It was killed by Long Chen. Although I helped a bit, just doing that much and taking this might cause others to say that we took advantage of him. All right, when you find Long Chen's guild, we'll buy it under the name of our guild, paying the same price as the academy would. Long Chen hasn't joined any guild. Right now, he's an instructor in the God Institute, the Immortal Institute, and the Pill Institute, reported a disciple hastily. Bai Shishir was startled. She hadn't expected this disciple who seemed to be from the Flame Institute to actually have so many statuses. The most startling one was that he knew how to refine pills. It was almost inconceivable. Then just put away the corpse for now. Make some inquiries. I want to know everything about Long Chen. Bai Shirshi's eyes shone. She felt a bit curious about Long Chen. Big Sister Luo Bing, quick, take a look at your ranking. Mu Qingyun and the others had just finished a battle and were cleaning up. After that, she checked their points, thinking that they had almost caught up to the Luo Gate, only to find that she couldn't find the Luo Gate on the rankings. After searching and searching, she suddenly saw their name at the front. 1,730,000 points, rank 29. How is that possible? Luo Bing stared at her own tablet in disbelief. Was there an error? How did we instantly get into the top 30? Exclaimed Luo Ning. Could it be Brothers San? Mu Qingyun suddenly thought of how Long Chen was holding the Luo Gate's status badge. He had mentioned thinking of a way to bring them into the top 100 quickly so that Luo Bing would have an advantage. If there wasn't something wrong with the rankings, then there was only one possibility. Their explosive rise in points was due to Long Chen. Luo Bing and the others were shocked and delighted by this terrifying rise in points. And at this moment, Long Chen had returned to the lava swamp. He encountered quite a few rank 3 devil creatures, but he didn't bother with them. One reason was that he didn't want to waste time, while the other reason was that he didn't have information on these devil creatures. He didn't know their strengths or weaknesses. Perhaps if he was surrounded, he might even draw out another terrifying existence like that explosive flame devil crocodile. Having reached the lava swamp again, he saw that many flame devils had appeared. No wonder I didn't see anything when I came in. They were all scared off. Only then did Long Chen realize why he hadn't seen any flame devils on his way out. When he took out the devil crystal of the crocodile, those flame devils fled like frightened rabbits. Long Chen couldn't be bothered to kill rank 3 devil creatures. It was too much effort right now. He quickly found the passageway again. However, he didn't go to the other side immediately. Instead, he stayed inside of it and summoned Huolong. Long Chen had already told Huolong not to absorb this devil crystal. It actually wasn't that beneficial to its growth. Instead, it could be used to strengthen the heaven-shaking swords. Using its devil core, the heaven-shaking swords produced by its energy would possess the devil crystal's core runes. That would give them a portion of the explosive flame devil crocodile's power, making them even stronger. Huolong's body shook. One heaven-shaking sword after another appeared, including the ones it had before. 10,000 of them appeared. However, after condensing 10,000 heaven-shaking swords, Huolong used up almost all its core energy, and it descended into slumber. Long Chen adhered the 10,000 heaven-shaking swords to the devil crystal, having the flame energy inside of it nourish these new swords. The flame swords started out very small, but as time passed, they grew more spiritual, and even without prompting from Long Chen, they began to absorb the power of the explosive flame devil crocodile's devil crystal on their own. As they absorbed the devil crystal's power, Long Chen saw a rune appear in every sword. They started to absorb a trace of the explosive flame devil crocodile's aura. In this flame swamp, the power of the crystal core could be diffused as quickly as possible. In less than 6 hours, cracks covered the crystal core and it shattered, all of its energy absorbed. After that, 10,000 flame swords whirled around Long Chen. Long Chen grabbed one, and sensing its explosive power and sharp aura, he smiled. Long Chen then put away the other heaven-shaking swords and returned to the devil domain side. Seeing a rank 3 flame devil charging over, he swung his sword. The flame devil's head was sliced off and exploded. As expected, with the rune of the explosive flame devil crocodile, the heaven-shaking swords aren't just toughened and sharpened, but they also possess a bit of its suppressive abilities. Long Chen estimated that the devil race had their own special ranks, with higher ranks suppressing lower ranks. He was still unclear on exactly how those ranks worked, but just testing this power, he was sure that his choice was correct in making Huolong work so hard. With these 10,000 heaven-shaking swords, although he wouldn't go so far as to say he was undefeatable on the devil domain battlefield, He would definitely be able to kill an existence like the explosive flame devil crocodile without anyone's help this time. Long Chen then returned to the tempering trial battlefield. As soon as he arrived in the swamp, countless flame devils charged at him. As Long Chen willed it, he could wipe them out with his 10,000 swords. It would take less than an incense stick's worth of time to do so. But he didn't, as the heaven-shaking swords were a trump card that he didn't want others to know of. There were still the Heaven-Melting Valley's disciples hunting the flame devils on a much smaller scale here. Long Chen rushed off in an instant, those flame devils not even being able to touch him. What? He didn't die? He's back. He's not even injured. The Heaven-Melting Valley's disciples couldn't believe their eyes. Bastard! Watch out! The vice leader quickly shouted. Due to the distraction, the flame devils they were fighting almost killed some of them. They barely saved one disciple from certain death, but he lost an arm. As their formations were in a mess, the vice leader took the front, allowing everyone else to retreat. Once they distanced themselves from the swamp, those flame devils stopped chasing. When they looked back at Long Chen, they found that the latter had vanished. Not caring the slightest bit about them, he quickly reached the battlefield where the Luo Gate and Unfettered Alliance were fighting. He didn't get too close immediately and only observed as they fought. Their battle formation flowed smoothly, and their cooperation had reached a solid level. There was essentially no danger. However, they still needed to improve. They needed to be able to go through at least a few battle formations, and their cooperation could be better. Otherwise, something unexpected might catch them off guard, throwing everything into chaos. This kind of cooperation could only be achieved through time and experience. There was no shortcut. Seeing that Luo Bing and the others were doing well, Long Chen slipped back to the academy. As soon as he was back in the academy, a disciple was waiting for him in front of the transportation formation. Instructor Long Chen, Heaven Master Yun Yang is looking for you. Long Chen arrived at Heaven Master Yun Yang's immortal cave. He found that other than himself, nothing else was there. It was a barren place that looked lonely and cold. The only decoration was a worn-down grass prayer mat. Long Chen was surprised by how simple his residence was. Heaven Master Yun Yang, you were looking for me? Sit. Heaven Master Yun Yang indicated the worn-down prayer mat. Seeing Heaven Master Yun Yang sitting on the bare ground, how could Long Chen possibly sit on the prayer mat? Hence, he also sat on the ground. Heaven Master Yun Yang smiled. A youngster who has reached the peak of fame who is proud, but not arrogant, is truly rare. Long Chen chortled. Well, my temper depends on who it is. Furthermore, this little one's abilities simply aren't enough to be arrogant about even if I wanted to when compared to you. The heavenly Daos are like a sea. There is limitless knowledge to learn. For you to have a respectful heart indicates that you can walk even further on the martial path. This is a blessing for the academy, and a blessing for the human race. At this point, Heaven Master shook his head. When a person gets old, they forget the point. I called you over because I wish to discuss a certain matter with you. I heard that you went to the Divine Scripture Pavilion and the Immortal Scripture Pavilion and learned quite a few magical arts? Long Chen's heart shook. Had he been reported for helping the disciples learn techniques? He first learned the techniques, then taught them to the disciples of the two guilds. That had reduced the academy's profits. Could it be? Heaven Master Yun Yang smiled and shook his head. The academy's rules are the rules. Don't think the academy is so sinister. The academy's rules are to allow for it to function. It's not to squeeze money out of our disciples. Yes, I helped the disciples of two guilds learn some magical arts. After all, I'm an instructor, and since I'm lacking money, I could only collaborate with the disciples. This was mutually beneficial. That's not against the rules, right? Asked Long Chen. Of course it doesn't count as breaking the rules. I'm simply amazed by your comprehension ability and your powerful soul. You could learn all those techniques without any effort. If I could give you a chance to read every book within the Divine Scripture Pavilion for free, how long do you think it would take you to learn everything? Asked Heaven Master Yun Yang. Really? Long Chen was shocked. First tell me how confident you are. 1 month, at most 1 month. Long Chen was moved. He felt like an immense, wonderful thing was in the process of descending upon him. 1 month? Are you sure? Heaven Master Yunyang was shocked. I won't rest or sleep. In 1 month, I can learn everything in the inner academy, said Long Chen confidently. After entering the divine flame realm, his spiritual strength hadn't changed much. But his 108,000 stars had ignited their divine flames. It was like he had 108,000 soul receptors, so he could read as much as he wanted. His 108,000 stars had gone through an inconceivable change, and he hadn't even had a chance to test their new power. But memorizing books? That was definitely no problem. If that's the case, then the matter I'm worried about should be resolved, sighed Heaven Master Yunyang in relief. Heaven Master, what good thing do you have for this little one? Asked Long Chen. Just the thought of reading everything within the divine scripture pavilion for free was making his heart itch. He couldn't wait. When Heaven Master Yunyang explained the situation to Long Chen, he almost didn't believe it. Heaven Master Yunyang actually wanted to break the rules and let him take the exam for the position of Heaven Master. The High Firmament Academy was located in the Heavenly Swell domain. It was also known as the Heavenly Swell Star Field. It was one of the 100 domains. The immortal world had 100 domains and 1,000 prefectures. The domains were larger than the prefectures, but it wasn't the case that every domain had prefectures within it. Only places that had the human race in them were called prefectures. Some domains didn't have humans. For example, the Devil domain, the Blood domain, the Flame domain, the Nether domain, etc. They were occupied by other life forms and were places that the human race couldn't set foot into. There were also some star fields where the human race cohabited with other races peacefully, and other star fields where they were in constant battle with other races. The Heavenly Swell domain had 9 prefectures. The Ning Prefecture and the Sheng Prefecture were both located within it. As for the High Firmament Academy, it was located in the Martial Heaven Prefecture. Its name was the same as the Martial Heaven continent. Long Chen still didn't know if it was a coincidence. The High Firmament Academy was the Martial Heaven Prefecture's strongest sect, so the majority of this prefecture's cultivators chose to join it. However, disciples from other prefectures were also drawn over by its name. For example, the Luo family and the Chu family. Their disciples came from other prefectures, mostly due to the ancient tomes contained within the High Firmament Academy. The High Firmament Academy was an exceedingly old existence. Hence, there were countless historical records inside it. It had built up an incredibly deep foundation. This was what the High Firmament Academy was famed for. However, while it was rank 1 in the Martial Heaven Prefecture, in the 9 Prefecture Convention, its ranking was not ideal. It actually wasn't even in the top 10. The 9 Prefecture Convention was a grand competition held once every 10 years. It was the strongest competition of the Heavenly Swell domain, and there was still half a year until the next convention. Senior, you wish for me to participate in the 9 Prefecture Convention? Long Chen was still confused. The Inner Academy had countless experts with monsters like Bai Shishir and Su Changchuan. Why would the Heaven Master come looking for him? The 9 Prefecture Convention's battle portion is for the Battle God Palace to worry about. But other than that competition, there is also the 9 Prefecture Dao discussion. I hope for you to represent our Academy's instructors to discuss the Dao there, said Heaven Master Yunyang. Discuss the Dao? Long Chen was startled. When it came to talking big, he was all right. But to have him discuss the Dao in front of all the heavenly geniuses of the 9 prefectures? Wouldn't he be laughed at? Yes, go discuss the Dao as a representative of the Academy. I was the representative in the last few conventions, but while the Academy's foundation is thick, it is hidebound by convention. In the current cultivation world, countless new marvels are born every day. The heavenly Daos turn, and we can no longer keep up with the times. In the last discussion, someone posed some questions to me, and I was actually unable to respond appropriately. The era has changed. We old-timers will naturally be replaced by a new generation of disciples. As for you, while you lack experience and knowledge, you have advantages that we old-timers don't have. You are not bound by our conventions. Thus, We are planning on taking the risk and having a young instructor participate this time, and you are the most suitable choice. My mouth has no gatekeeper. I might say something that loses the Academy's face, pointed out Long Chen. The Academy doesn't care about face, nor do we particularly care about competing with others. We only wish for you to participate in hope that you can come up with some new brazen ideas, instead of being stuck in the past like us. I suggested this to the Institute head, and the Institute head has reported it to the Dean. Even the Dean has said that it's up to you. If you agree to represent the High Firmament Academy's instructors in the 9 Prefecture Convention, we will give you the authority to read through every book in the Inner Academy. What do you think? Asked Heaven Master Yunyang. Long Chen had never expected such an opportunity. He hesitated and asked, if I attend as an instructor, will I also have a chance to compete in the 9 Prefecture competition? To tell the truth, I wish to get famous. The 9 Prefecture Convention was a gathering of heavenly geniuses. If he wanted to spread his name, this was the best option. The name of Boss Long San would spread far and wide. Perhaps he would be able to encounter the others as well. Thinking of that, a fire ignited in his heart. Don't worry about that. The two don't overlap each other. First is the Tao discussion and then the competition. There is ample time to participate in both categories, said Heaven Master Yunyang. Then this little one will do his best. However, if I do badly, will I be punished? Asked Long Chen. No. The Tao is ephemeral and limitless. We feel like all the senior instructors have become too spiritless. Even now, no one has thought of any new questions for the upcoming convention. Our thinking is too old. Thus, we wish to bet on a new representative, said Heaven Master Yunyang. From his tone, it didn't seem as if Heaven Master Yunyang cared too much about the 9 Prefecture Convention. However, the entire academy seemed to have taken the attitude of being all right with just getting by, rather than striving for excellence. Long Chen originally felt a great distaste for that attitude, but after talking with that sweeping elder, he understood that not everyone was intoxicated with the feeling of being number one. There were still plenty of people smarter than him. If he didn't understand, then it just meant that he hadn't reached that realm yet. Even the Dean didn't seem concerned about this. With such an immense benefit, how could Long Chen possibly give it up? He naturally accepted. This is a special status plate. Starting today, you can freely go through all the scripture pavilions in the academy without paying. Heaven Master Yunyang gave Long Chen a violet status plate with the words, High Firmament, carved onto it. This was actually a status plate outside of the heaven, earth, human, and mortal rankings. Long Chen delightedly received it and thanked Heaven Master Yunyang. This new status plate would help him out immensely. The academy has scripture pavilions in the outer academy as an introduction point, while the inner academy's scripture pavilions are for building a foundation. As long as you can comprehend the tomes in the inner academy's scripture pavilions, it is enough for you to master the core of the 10,000 Daos. Above those scripture pavilions are an even higher level of core techniques, but we are not planning on letting you come into contact with those. One reason is that your realm isn't high enough, and diving into them will only harm you. The other reason is that due to us researching those higher-level core techniques, our way of thinking grew stiff and inflexible. It is as if we bound ourselves with chains that we cannot break. Due to that, we will not apply any pressure on you. Read whatever you want. No one will give you direction. Even if you do badly during the convention, it won't matter. The High Firmament Academy doesn't care about such meaningless prestige. However, there are two matters that I must discuss with you. Heaven Master Yunyang suddenly grew solemn. Junior is listening, said Long Chen respectfully. The first thing is that starting today, you are no longer permitted to directly transmit the Academy's magical arts to other disciples, said Heaven Master Yunyang. Long Chen was startled. If the Academy didn't care about prestige or money, why would they restrict him in this aspect? Wasn't that limiting the growth of its disciples? Seeing his confusion, Heaven Master Yunyang said, to transmit the Tao, to instruct, to guide, this is the heavenly duty of an instructor. But your Tao is not other people's Tao. Your path only suits you. If you draw others onto your path, ask yourself, how many of them will survive? Well, Long Chen was at a loss for words. Heaven Master Yunyang was correct. If everyone learned from him, then, unless they could always stay with him, anyone who learned his temper but didn't have his power would quickly die. As an instructor, the highest realm is to lead people to the correct realm seemingly without doing anything, said Heaven Master Yunyang profoundly. Junior understands. Long Chen nodded. The Unfettered Alliance and Luo Gate's disciples were not like the Dragon Blood warriors. If they stayed by his side, when they encountered some terrifying opponent, they would only be cannon fodder. Long Chen suddenly had a thought. Was the Academy doing this specifically to prevent this kind of situation? After all, as those two guilds grew stronger, they would draw more experts that wanted to join them. Their influence would also grow. Hence, the Academy didn't want him to influence that many disciples' futures. Thinking of that, Long Chen found that the Academy's higher-ups truly did have profoundly wise people. Despite the Academy appearing completely muddled and out of control, the truth was everything was under their control. Although he didn't know the true goal of the Academy, he was sure that it wasn't as simple as it appeared on the surface. As for the Chu family's infiltration, perhaps to the true higher-ups, they were nothing more than dancing monkeys. The Academy had to have its own reasons for not stopping them. Thinking of this, Long Chen gradually smiled. If the higher-ups really were that smart, then things would be easier for him. His main worry had been idiots in high positions here. Seeing Long Chen nod, Heaven Master Yunyang also nodded. Long Chen was a smart person. With just a little hint, Long Chen understood his meaning. He then continued, that was the first point. The second point is that the Academy and the Battle God Palace are almost two separate entities. Other than the Dean, no one in the Academy can manage the Battle God Palace. Any outstanding disciples in the Inner Academy are snatched up by the Battle God Palace. Thus, the Inner Academy's disciples are viewed as promising sprouts. Adding you to our group of instructors is actually not as simple as it sounds. If the Dean had not personally sent word, we would not have dared to do so. If you become a Heaven Master, you must be prepared for when the Battle God Palace comes for you. Comes for me? For what? Asked Long Chen. They will likely tell you to reject your status as a Heaven Master. Other than matters of the battlefield, the Battle God Palace is greatly disgusted by everything else. Thus, Long Chen understood and smiled. Heaven Master Yunyang, don't worry. I am not someone to destroy the bridge after crossing the river. If I promise to do something, I will definitely do it. I have never broken my word in this lifetime. Heaven Master Yunyang was indicating that when the Battle God Palace came to apply pressure on him to reject his status as Heaven Master, he had to say no. From the Battle God Palace, Long Chen had met the Divine Lightning Elder, the Discipline Institute's head judge, as well as that expert called Zhan Feng. He could tell that they were real men, and they naturally detested the Academy's convoluted and over-elaborate workings. He believed that the entire Battle God Palace was the same. But that was fine. He needed to get stronger, so why would he refuse such a good opportunity? If the Battle God Palace was willing to accept his admittance as a Heaven Master, good. If not, it was fine as well. Furthermore, as long as he was strong enough, would the Battle God Palace really reject him just because he was a Heaven Master? Seeing him agree, Heaven Master Yunyang was at ease. Long Chen took his new status plate and happily left, going straight for the Divine Scripture Pavilion. So Lord Brahma is someone from the Flame Domain's Indra-human race. His original name is unknown, and he paid worship to the Pill Sovereign in his youth, becoming the Pill Sovereign's second disciple. He focused on cultivating flame arts, and when the Pill Sovereign taught him the Nirvana scripture, he changed his name, calling himself Brahma. Fallen Day Knight is a descendant from the Dark Domain's Divine Forger race. Possessing a timeless bloodline, he was the third disciple of the Pill Sovereign and focused on forging divine furnaces capable of merging heaven and earth, and all Daos in between. After 3 days in the Divine Scripture Pavilion, Long Chen had gone through countless tomes and finally found some information regarding Lord Brahma and Fallen Day Knight. Pill Sovereign. Long Chen's heart leaped. Previously, he had thought that his Pill Sovereign memories came from a sovereign-level expert from the Martial Heaven continent. But now he found that this wasn't the case. The Martial Heaven continent had produced pill sovereigns before. However, they were only called pill sovereigns because their pill Dao had reached the level of receiving recognition from the very world itself, resulting in the divine radiance of the heavenly Daos blessing them. A pill sovereign was not a sovereign in the 13th heaven stage of heaven merging, but someone whose pill Dao had reached such a height that they were crowned a blessing from heavenly Daos. That blessing was later called the pill sovereign's divine radiance. Also, a pill sovereign could not be compared to a sovereign, but the meaning behind their titles was the same. It meant to have reached the pinnacle of the world, something that could not be surpassed. However, in the immortal world containing the 9 heavens and 10 lands, only one person was bestowed the title of pill sovereign. No one knew who this person was, or whether they were a man or woman. They were simply called the pill sovereign because they were the master of the pill Dao, its creator. There was no record of the pill sovereign within the tomes of the Inner Academy. Whoever they were real yet seemingly ephemeral. They were a mysterious existence. Do my pill sovereign memories come from this person? Is this why I detest Brahma and fallen day-night? That monster in the Heaven Dragon Flame region back then cursed Brahma for being a bastard who betrayed his master. But there's nothing about him betraying the pill sovereign in these texts. After that, Chen spent a full 3 days scouring the historical texts without sleep. He used his endless spiritual strength to read everything here. However, the information he found was pitifully lacking. Even after absorbing so much knowledge, he only gained this little bit of information. But even this little bit was enough for Chen to gain some new understanding of his pill sovereign memories. It was said that the pill sovereign had accepted 4 disciples in their lifetime. Brahma was the 2nd disciple, and Fallen Day Night was the 3rd disciple. But no one knew who the first and final disciples were. In addition, Chen had also learned about 9 star heirs. They were recorded as seeds of vengeance. Legend was that millions and millions of years ago, an apocalyptic battle was fought, and the 9 heavens almost collapsed. At that time, a certain peerless expert fell, and just before death, this person swore to spread the seeds of vengeance throughout every corner of the 9 heavens and 10 lands. One day, his heir suddenly appeared for vengeance, seeking to slaughter the 10 planar worlds, using fresh blood to dye the 9 heavens red and opening a new epic to the 9 heavens and 10 lands. And from that moment on, the terrifying 9 star heirs appeared in this world, seeking vengeance. They were terrifying existences wishing to topple the 9 heavens and 10 lands. They were incredibly powerful and arrogant. Throughout these millions and millions of years, countless 9 star heirs had created countless miracles and left behind legends. However, they all ultimately died with a brilliant burst of life. Before they fully grew, they were wiped out by other experts. A few 9 star heirs grew up to slaughter countless life forms, causing huge waves throughout the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Regretfully, even those powerful 9 star heirs met calamitous ends. However, the records only mention some matters related to the 9 star heirs. The details of why they were cut down so quickly weren't mentioned. Even so, there was a note saying that the 9 Underworld Hall was built specifically to hunt down 9 star heirs. The leader was a mysterious existence from the 9 Underworld Hell. It was said that no one alive had ever seen him, because those that did see him died. It was also rumored that this person had once been defeated by a certain person. That person was the Dark Sex Master, the Night Empress, Yiwusheng. The 2 of them were said to be the 9 heavens and 10 lands' 2 strongest assassins. They were existences that made countless experts quiver in fear. Just like the 9 Underworld Hall's master, no one had ever seen the Night Empress's true face either. Although the Bloodkill Hall's master, Puta, was also a terrifying assassin, whether it was fame, aptitude, or true power, he couldn't compare to the 2 of them. The Dark Sect was extremely low-key. Supposedly, they had very few disciples, but every single one of them would cause huge waves whenever they appeared. On the contrary, the 9 Underworld Hall was spread throughout every corner of the 9 heavens and 10 lands. They specialized in gathering information and hunting down 9 star heirs while they were still in the cradle. Other than the 9 underworld hunters, 9-star heirs also drew other killers, such as those from the Bloodkill Hall. As long as it was a matter of money, they didn't have any principles. The most interesting thing between them was that the dark sect's disciples rarely assassinated ordinary people. Their targets were usually powerful assassins of the 9 Underworld Hall and the Bloodkill Hall. Moreover, it was said that the disciple trials of the dark sect were based on the heads of those 2 halls. This had continued for countless years. Perhaps because the Bloodkill Hall and 9 Underworld Hall had countless disciples, they didn't seem to care. Of course, the other possibility was that there was nothing they could do to stop this. In any case, Chen saw that there had never been a recorded case of the Bloodkill Hall or the 9 Underworld Hall hunting down the dark sect, showing that the latter was an incredibly powerful existence. He also saw some information on the corpse Devil Demon Forest, one of the great danger regions of the immortal world. No life forms dared to get near it. Chen instantly thought of Lu Ruyan because she was from there. However, the corpse Devil Demon Forest was not in the heavenly swell domain that Chen was in, so he had no way of joining with her. But he had a feeling that Chu Yao was with her. If they were together, then Lu Ruyan would definitely bring Chu Yao to the corpse Devil Demon Forest because that was the only place where she could obtain her full inheritance. In the past 3 days, Chen's head was filled with an ocean of information. Even with his almost limitless spiritual strength, he had a splitting headache. However, all this information was worth it. There was still more that he needed to slowly digest. Then Chen randomly found a place to sleep. After 6 hours, his headache was gone. After finishing up the history section, he moved on to the lightning secret arts. This time, he was planning on properly learning some lightning attribute divine abilities. It felt like Lei Long's power hadn't been properly used in many years now. Chen, you bastard! Chen had just entered the lightning attribute section when he heard a woman's furious shout. Chen turned his head to see an almond-eyed woman glaring at him furiously. This pavilion was originally very quiet, so her shout drew quite a bit of attention. When the other disciples saw Chen and that woman, they were confused. "What is wrong with you? Why are you cursing people?" asked Chen with a frown. "You blasphemed our leader in the Devil Domain battlefield. Our leader might not quibble with you, but that doesn't mean that we forgive you. We will not permit you to blaspheme our most respected leader. I challenge you right here and now. Do you dare to accept?" she said coldly. This woman was of average build and looks, but there was a light flickering in her hand from lightning runes. It seemed that she was a rarely seen lightning cultivator. Quite a bit of gossip began to flow between the disciples in the pavilion. Someone from the Heaven Female Alliance is actually challenging Chen to a fight? From what she said, Chen dared to insult Fairy Shershur. He has guts. This fellow has just entered the inner academy, and he already made enemies all around. Now, he's even offended the Heaven Female Alliance. It'll be difficult for him to live in the inner academy like this. Yu Qingqing is rank 73 on the Earth rankings. With her Thunder Force, she is extremely powerful. Chen probably won't be able to last more than 10 exchanges against her. What an unlucky fellow. He could have offended anyone, but he just had to offend the Heaven Female Alliance. Has he not heard that women are petty dash? That last speaker's mouth was instantly clamped down by someone beside him, who scolded him quietly. If you want to die, can you not implicate everyone in your guild? However, some people also thought about it from Chen's viewpoint. Chen's in a tough spot now. Even if he wins, people will say that he only beat a woman. If he loses, it'll be even more embarrassing. As the disciples quietly conversed, the majority looked at Chen with expressions of finding joy in his misfortune. As for Chen himself, he was speechless in the face of her challenge. Had he not just teased by Shershur with a few words? There was no such immense enmity between them, at least not one requiring fighting, no? Chen waved his hand. "I can't beat you. You win." After saying that, Chen picked up a lightning tome and flipped through it. In any case, he didn't need to spend money, so no matter if the books were useful to him or not, he would read them. That Yu Qingqing was further incensed by Chen's indifference toward her. "Chen, Are you even a man? Long Chen laughed and glanced at her. What? Do you need to personally verify it? Quite a few people couldn't help laughing, especially the male disciples. Their laughter was a bit perverted. Most of them didn't feel too friendly toward newcomers, but quite a few of them felt closer to him after this. Perhaps this was a case of lechery bringing people together. Yu Qingxing didn't understand what he meant at first, but seeing those perverted smiles, her face reddened. You, all right, count me afraid of you. In truth, I was just joking that day. We're all part of the same sect, so no need to take it so seriously. If you feel like I've gone too far, then I apologize. We're all members of the same sect, so there's no need to treat our relationships so stiffly. Long Chen shrugged. Long Chen truly didn't wish to deal with these women, especially when they were so arrogant and never interacted with men, almost viewing them as monsters. What qualification do you have to joke with our leader? If you are really sincere, then you should go to our headquarters to humbly apologize, said Yu Qingxing coldly. Long Chen's expression finally grew frosty. Go to your headquarters and apologize? You came to take advantage, huh? My time is very precious. Anyone who dares to waste my time is viewed as my enemy. As for my enemies, they are all dead. If you've grown tired of living, then challenge me to a life and death match. I don't mind using your blood as a warning to those who don't know what respect is. Long Chen's instant transformation caught everyone off guard. At this moment, it felt like the warm divine scripture pavilion had become cold. Some people were shivering. Long Chen's anger was finally ignited. He had endured one step, but this woman dared to push for more. Yu Qingxing shuddered. She didn't want to be scared off just by this aura. But despite trying, she was unable to force any words out. It was like she was facing some merciless ancient monster. If you have guts, then challenge me to a life and death match. Otherwise, scram. All your ailments are the result of others indulging you. Go provoke someone else, anyone but me. I've killed more people than you've ever seen, so if you don't want to die, get away from me. Long Chen no longer looked at her. He continued flipping through the lightning tomes. Hearing this, Yu Qingxing clenched his fists, her whole body quivering. It was unknown if that was from fear or anger. In the end, she stamped her foot and left. After that, all the disciples here quietly got back to their own work. Long Chen's killing intent just now had made them shake. They had never thought that a person's killing intent could practically condense into solid form and take people's lives, but when that killing intent swallowed them, it felt like a single thought from Long Chen would be able to take their lives. Hence, no one bothered Long Chen anymore. He spent a whole day learning over 700 lightning cultivation arts and 1600 combat techniques. Right now, he was just swallowing everything he could and forcefully memorizing them, sealing them inside his soul. To link up with them in an instant was not possible, but he could forcibly memorize them and then digest them slowly. After the lightning arts, he went to the flame arts. Not having to look at the prices was truly amazing. He practically couldn't stop himself. He was like a wolf that was almost starving to death and then tossed into a meat mountain. No matter how much he ate, it felt like he would never be full. Moreover, these techniques were actually easier to digest than the historical tomes. He didn't get any headache at all. After he had flipped through all the flame element tomes, he went to the cultivation theory region. These tomes were must-reads for instructors. Right now, Long Chen was not yet a heaven master. Although an exception had been made for him, he still needed to go through the examination. If he wanted to participate in the 9 Prefecture convention, he had to first pass the Academy's exam and become a formal heaven master. As for the tomes in the other areas, Long Chen decided to first slow down and absorb them bit by bit. After all, food should be consumed bite by bite. Long Chen then spent 7 days in the Divine Scripture Pavilion. On the last day, while he was still researching tomes, Mu Qingyun found him. Brother San, Luo Ning has been injured by someone. In the headquarters of the Luo Gate, Luo Ning was deep in a coma, her face pale. Healing experts had just finished up their treatment. There was no danger to her life, but her condition was serious. She wouldn't be waking up for a while. All the Luo Gate's disciples were gloomy. Killing intent blazed in their eyes. Long Chen investigated Luo Ning's condition. He sensed the aura of a terrifying flame energy. Although it had been erased now, the remnant energy still posed a great deal of destructive power that made her recovery more difficult. Furthermore, this remnant flame was something that these healing experts couldn't erase. Long Chen pressed a hand on Luo Ning's forehead. Luo Bing and the others saw flame fluctuations come out of her head and enter Long Chen's body. It was done by the vice leader of the Heaven Melting Valley, correct? Said Long Chen, removing his hand. Her face finally recovered some rosiness, but she was still unconscious. Yes, it was him, Gu Zhen. I had Ninger go buy some things in the treasury, but she ended up clashing with Gu Zhen. Under his provocation, the two of them arranged a duel, only for Ninger to turn into this state. Luo Bing looked at her fragile sister, aggrieved and filled with rage. I know him. In terms of true power, he isn't much stronger than Luo Ning. For her injury to be so serious, was it because the other side was intentionally angering her? Asked Long Chen. Boss San, you are entirely correct, said one of the Luo Gate's disciples indignantly. That Gu Zhen is absolute trash. When we went to the treasury, he repeatedly insulted us, saying, well, it's too disgusting to even repeat, but it was completely unbearable. We tried to stop Senior Apprentice Sister Ninga, but you also know that when her temper erupts, we can't stop her. We could only report it to Senior Apprentice Sister Binga, but it was too late. She had already arrived on the martial stage with Gu Zhen. Gu Zhen's words became even more ugly on the martial stage, and Senior Apprentice Sister Enanjia fell for it, causing her emotions to affect her fighting power. That Gu Zhen is a complete bastard. Long Chen, I'm preparing to challenge Gu Zhen. I'll get revenge for my little sister, but I'll also show everyone that our Luo Gate isn't so easy to bully, said Luo Bing. She had made her determination beforehand. But before taking action, she wanted Long Chen's opinion. He won't accept your challenge. He isn't a match for you, so he won't give you that chance, said Long Chen. It seemed that Luo Bing was still too young. There was quite a difference between her power and Gu Zhen. If she challenged him, she would be mocked, and then Long Yenzong would come out. At that time, they would say that the guild leaders should fight guild leaders. That was the entire principle behind kings against kings, general against generals, soldiers against soldiers. That would be falling for their trap. At that time, as long as Long Yenzong showed himself, the tides would turn. Luo Bing would be stuck between a rock and a hard place at that time. If she didn't accept Long Yenzong's challenge, not only would Luo Ning's humiliation be unavenged, they would also have to face the mocking of everyone from the Heaven Melting Valley. If she did fight, then while she might be powerful, she was facing Long Yenzong who had reached the peak of the mid-divine flame realm, so she had no chance of winning. When Long Chen explained that, Luo Bing, Mu Qingyun, Li Kai, and the others' expressions all changed. They hadn't expected there to be a further trap to this. Those bastards. Are we just going to be schemed against like this? A vein on Li Kai's forehead throbbed angrily. Gather everyone. We'll go to the Heaven Melting Valley. I told you, all schemes are meaningless in front of absolute power. Long Chen waved his hand. All the disciples of the guilds gathered, heading furiously towards the Heaven Melting Valley. The domineering arrival of Long Chen and the others shocked countless people, who began to discuss this and spread word. Long Chen was leading hundreds of people towards the Heaven Melting Valley. They quickly arrived at their headquarters. Long Yenzong seemed to have been waiting for them, and his disciples were already waiting at the gates. Ha, what, you wish to challenge us to a guild battle? Laughed Long Yenzong, clearly prepared to fully infuriate Long Chen. Last time, Long Chen hadn't let him go first in the training room, resulting in his mental state being ruined, and costing him a chance of comprehending the 4th volume of the Nirvana scripture. He hated Long Chen to the bone as a result, but he had never found a chance for vengeance. But today, he was like a viper. When Luo Ning led people to trade in their points, he grasped his chance. Long Chen suddenly took out a tablet. This was the Luo Gate's guild tablet. A blood-colored mark appeared on top of it. When that mark appeared, everyone from the Heaven Melting Guild, as well as Long Yenzong, was stunned. The Luo Gate hereby challenges the Heaven-Melting Valley to a guild blood battle. There is no rest until death. Does the Heaven-Melting Valley dare to accept? Long Chen's voice rang out throughout this region. The tablet on Long Yenzong's waist quivered. Long Chen's tablet emitted a ray of red light that connected it to Long Yenzong's tablet. This was an extremely cruel and bloody battle. If Long Yenzong activated his tablet, it would represent accepting the blood battle. Every person from both guilds would be transported to a separate world where they would fight to the death. One side had to be completely killed in order for the others to leave. Furthermore, this battlefield had a time limit. If no victor was determined within 1 day, the battlefield would collapse, killing everyone inside. This was one of the bloodiest rules inside the High Firmament Academy. Countless generations of experts had brought up opposing arguments against this rule, wanting to change it. However, no changes went through. This rule remained until this day. This kind of challenge was something no one would use unless their enmity had truly reached an unfathomable level. After all, it was gambling everyone's lives on a bloody battle. No one dared to joke around with it. For Long Chen to simply directly issue this challenge, the Inner Academy was thrown into an uproar. All the guild tablets within the Inner Academy buzzed, alerting people to Long Chen's blood challenge. People rushed over to the Heaven-Melting Valley. This person really is a madman. A group of dozens of women watched from a distance. Bai Shirshir shook her head. Heavens, Fairy Shirshir has come. When she appeared, the disciples that had rushed over to watch the show exclaimed in amazement, looking towards her adoringly. Bai Shirshir's arrival caused a huge ruckus. In her golden imperial robes, she was like a heavenly goddess, possessing unspeakable dignity and grace. Bai Shirshir was also drawn over by Long Chen issuing the blood battle challenge. Such a challenge had not been issued in hundreds of years. Such a challenge could only be issued by a lower-ranking guild to a higher-ranking guild. That was to avoid higher-ranking guilds taking advantage of it to bully the weak. But a weaker guild definitely wouldn't do something as foolish as throwing themselves at a stronger party without some blood seas worth of enmity. This challenge drew countless people over. Long Chen already had a great deal of fame in the Inner Academy. He was domineering and powerful, but no one had expected that he would dare to lead the Luo Gate into a blood battle challenge against the third-rank Heaven-Melting Valley. This Luo Gate might be a new force, but their power is shocking. They actually got into the top 30 rankings at one point. Although they fell a few ranks during the past few days, they still remain in the top 50. They can't be underestimated. No matter how strong they are, Long Chen was so arrogant as to challenge Long Yenzong. They're definitely dead. Not necessarily. Have you forgotten what happened during his divine competition? Some people looked favorably on Long Chen, but the majority didn't have a good opinion, thinking that he was courting death with this action. Luo Qingyang had led the disciples of the Luo Alliance here as well. When he saw the Luo Gate's disciples standing behind Long Chen, facing Long Yenzong and the others, his expression changed. It had to be known that there were quite a few disciples of the Luo family in the Luo Gate. If the blood battle started, the consequences couldn't be imagined. In another area, Chu Yang smiled faintly. He quietly watched Long Chen and Long Yenzong face off. He was awaiting a good show. Holding the guild tablet, Long Chen coldly said, "A group of useless trash that only dares to scheme against people behind their back, do you dare to actually fight? Raise that tablet of yours and let's have a real battle." Long Chen was holding the Luo Gate's guild tablet. Once Long Yenzong accepted, he would also be brought to the battlefield. At this moment, Long Chen had had enough of the idiots in front of him. It was time to do something big. Long Chen also spotted Chu Yang in the distant crowd watching like a wily fox. He was 90% sure that this was all arranged by Chu Yang. Considering the explosive temperaments of flame cultivators, it was easy to predict their actions. Moreover, with Long Yenzong and Gu Zhen's heads, they couldn't think of such a scheme. Chu Yang must be using them to test Long Chen's bottom line. Chu Yang was crafty. Without an absolute assurance of victory, he wouldn't take action. Such a person liked to test out a person fully before launching a sure kill blow. It was precisely due to this that Long Chen chose to issue the blood battle challenge. If Long Yenzong dared to accept, he wouldn't need Luo Bing and the others to do anything. He would directly unleash one of his ultimate moves to wipe out everyone from the heaven-melting valley. This time he was truly angry. Sometimes, idiots weren't worthy of pity because they brought huge trouble for others. Perhaps that trouble wasn't directly fatal, but it would be one of the many reasons you were wiped out in the future. Back on the martial heaven continent, if it hadn't been for the many fools constantly hindering him, then if he had been just a bit stronger, perhaps the old man, Chu Jianying, Ling Yunzi, and the others wouldn't have died. The 5 sovereigns' heroic spirits might have been able to survive in perpetuity. After that, Long Chen swore to himself not to have any compassion for fools. There would be no teaching them, no warning them. Could compassion correct the entire world? Could it turn evil into good? Could it turn beasts into saints? Long Chen was no saint, nor had he ever thought of being a saint. He was just an ordinary person who wanted to live with dignity. If someone tried to stop him from that, he could only fight back. Long Chen simply looked at Long Yenzong coldly, waiting for his reply. Long Chen, I didn't expect you to be such a schemer. You really are despicable. Over 80% of our heaven-melting valleys people just underwent the heavenly flame tempering the soul process and are extremely weak. They can't fight. I thought that you had some pride, but I didn't expect you to be so shameless. You clearly knew we couldn't accept your challenge, yet you came here so heroically to initiate a blood battle challenge toward us? What's the point? Sneered Long Yenzong. Flame cultivators constantly tempered their souls with heavenly flames, and this passively increased their spiritual strength. But such a method was limited only to flame cultivators and to the immortal world. In the mortal world, a person's spiritual strength was innate and couldn't be improved so easily. However, after tempering their souls, they would be weak for a few days. Let alone fighting, even standing would be difficult. Hearing this, quite a few disciples came to an understanding. No wonder Long Chen dared to challenge him to a guild blood battle. Teach, I thought that Long Chen actually had some ability. But he only came to show off. How meaningless. So it was empty bravado. What a waste of emotion. Countless people felt disdain for Long Chen for this. Only Bai Shirshir looked disdainfully at the crowd's reaction. Although she had only met Long Chen once, she could sense Long Chen's killing intent. He had definitely not come just to scare people. Long Chen also hadn't expected such a turn. He was disappointed and said, "Since you can't accept it, let's settle things another way. Didn't you want to fight me? I'll give you a chance. If you can last 3 exchanges against me without dying, I, Long Chen, will kill myself right here in the High Firmament Academy." What? Every person present stared in shock at Long Chen. Even Bai Shirshir was shocked. Their exchanges. Long Chen thought that he could slay Long Yenzong within 3 moves? It had to be known that Long Yenzong was the current 3rd-rank expert on the Earth rankings. Let alone Long Chen, even Bai Shirshir wouldn't necessarily dare to make such a claim. Long Yenzong laughed furiously. These words had truly infuriated him. He was about to speak when Long Chen continued. With your combat power, you're not worth fighting me. But today, you 2 idiots have really pissed me off. Not killing you would be letting you down. However, before our fight, we'll decide whether or not the fight occurs with another duel. Gu Zhen, you trash, get out here. Long Chen looked at Gu Zhen. He announced, "Don't you feel that you're very strong? As long as you can survive 3 moves against Mu Qingyun, then she will commit suicide on the spot. The only question is whether you dare to accept it or not." Everyone's expressions once more changed, and they stared at Mu Qingyun. Long Chen, even Luo Bing was shocked. Originally, when Long Chen challenged the heaven-melting valley to a blood battle, she was surprised, but not afraid. One reason was due to her confidence in Long Chen. She knew that he wouldn't do something he wasn't assured of. Since he dared to do it, he must have his reasons. The other reason was that she had enough confidence in herself as well. After setting foot on the battlefield repeatedly, she had further awakened her bloodline divine abilities. As long as Long Chen could block Long Yenzong, she was sure she could defeat all the other disciples in the heaven-melting valley. However, now that it was Mu Qingyun against Gu Zhen, her heart clenched. That was especially the case when life and death would be decided in only 3 moves. Gu Zhen was the heaven-melting valley's number 2 expert. He was extremely powerful. Even if Gu Zhen hadn't used despicable means to antagonize Luo Ning would have found it extremely difficult to defeat him. Now, if Mu Qingyun couldn't beat him in 3 moves, she would kill herself? That was crazy. However, Mu Qingyun didn't show the slightest nervousness. Her gaze was completely calm as she looked at Gu Zhen indifferently. As long as Gu Zhen can block 3 of Qingyun's moves, she will kill herself right there and then. Then you, Long Yenzong, will get a chance to fight me, and if I can't kill you in 3 moves, I will also kill myself right there and then. Are you fighting or not? Decide, said Long Chen coldly. For a moment, everyone was silent. The enmity between the heaven-melting valley and the Luo Gate had been spread to everyone, so they all felt disdain for Gu Zhen's contemptuous means. However, Gu Zhen was still rank 57 on the Earth rankings. His power was not low. Although some people could indeed defeat him in 3 moves, that number of those people definitely did not surpass 10. Mu Qingyun had just joined the Inner Academy. For her to defeat Gu Zhen in 3 moves was practically a dream. Haha. Gu Zhen suddenly laughed. Alright, I accept your proposal. I want to see just how much ability this girl has. Gu Zhen was smiling widely, as if everything was within his control. He had the utmost confidence in his power. On the other hand, Mu Qingyun didn't say anything. She directly took out her status plate and dripped a drop of blood onto it. The runes on her status plate lit up. Gu Zhen did the same thing. The runes from both status plates merged. After that, the sky shuddered and a large martial stage appeared in the sky. Mu Qingyun and Gu Zhen vanished, reappearing on the stage. Haha. Once they were on the martial stage, Gu Zhen laughed. You really are a group of fools. You wish to defeat me in 3 moves? Are you dreaming? Why don't you take a look and see what this is? A golden shield appeared in Gu Zhen's hand. That shield had a strange, circular form, looking like a tortoise shell. 4-spirit turtle shell. How despicable! Someone recognized it, and a wave of curses followed. The 4-spirit turtle was a rank 3 devil beast. It was especially strong in defense, and ordinary experts wouldn't bother trying to attack it. They would try to bait it with poison, and that would allow them to obtain a perfect 4-spirit turtle shell. Not only was the shell itself tough in and of itself, but most importantly it had a special ability. A complete and perfect shell could be activated 4 times to summon an absolute defense, protecting a person from all angles and drawing any attacks to the shell. It could be said to be a protective talisman and was extremely precious. With its 4 activations of absolute defense, and considering that they had agreed to a 3-exchange battle, it could be said that Mu Qingyun had lost before the fight even started. However, Mu Qingyun's expression still didn't change. She slowly reached back for the sword on her back, grabbing the hilt expressionlessly. After that, she stood in that position like a statue. The moment she grabbed hold of her sword, a flash of shock flickered in Bai Shishir's eyes. Gu Zhen disdainfully sneered, "Idiot woman, you're just as idiotic as that woman before." This little pretty boy Long Chen didn't just play with your bodies, but he also played with your emotions without you even being aware of it. Upon hearing this, the killing intent of the disciples from the Luo Gate and the unfettered Alliance sword. His mouth was truly vicious. Is Long Chen so skilled in that regard? Let me tell you, you shouldn't be so foolish. You haven't tried out other men, so how will you know if it's good or bad? To tell the truth, I'm very skilled in that regard, so why don't you try me? Don't women like playing around? Gu Zhen became even bolder as he continued. Gu Zhen, shut up. Long Yenzong's expression changed. However, he had forgotten that the formation of the martial stage prevented those inside from hearing the people outside. Long Yenzong's expression completely changed when he saw killing intent appear on Bai Shishir's face. All the Heaven Female Alliance's disciples were clenching their weapons already. Gu Zhen's words had offended the Heaven Female Alliance's people as well. To infuriate Mu Qingyun, Guzhen held nothing back with his mouth, all without realizing that if it weren't for the formation, he would probably have been torn apart by a group of women. Luo Bing and the others had dark expressions. Now they knew why Luo Ning would be defeated so quickly. This person was truly despicable. Let alone Luo Ning with her temper, even the calm-headed Luo Bing couldn't stop being infuriated by him. Chilly killing intent appeared in Long Chen's eyes. He suddenly felt that the High Firmament Academy might not really suit him. Although the rules could protect him, they also restricted him. He felt like he was unable to suppress his desire to kill. Guzhen, are you even a man? If it was just this dirty turtle shell, that would be one thing. But you're actually spouting such garbage? Your ancestors have lost all their faces because of you. Long Yenzong, I never thought you were a good person before, but now I feel like you aren't even a person. Your subordinates are this kind of trash? You also can't be much better. Curses erupted, and those curses included Long Yenzong. His expression sank, but he couldn't say anything. How could his one mouth beat so many mouths? What? Little girl, are you shaking? Did I draw out your desire with just a few words? Big brother will take care of you. Guzhen grew even more pleased when he saw Mu Qingyun begin to shake. Long Chen, Luo Bing instantly grew nervous. That's all right. Mu Qingyun isn't listening to him. I already told her to close off her ears, said Long Chen. Although Mu Qingyun was quivering, her gaze was calm. As her body shook, the entire martial stage also began to shake. Its tempo was the exact same as Mu Qingyun's. Guzhen's smile froze. He suddenly found that he was locked down by some incomparable will. Just at this moment, her sword came out of its sheath, and it was like a dragon cry. Brilliant sword light tore through the air. When the sword light fell, the 4 spirit turtle shell along with Guzhen were wiped out of existence. The sword chi continued to pierce through the entire formation and destroy the martial stage as well. The only remainder of Guzhen's existence was a burst of blood mist and some broken runes. One move, dead. Everyone stared in shock at Mu Qingyun. That one sword caused heaven and earth to shake, along with every expert. They had never seen such a terrifying sword in their entire lives. Suddenly, the sky shook and the martial stage vanished. Mu Qingyun then reappeared by Long Chen's side, looking slightly pale. People were surprised to see her fluctuations had become extremely weak. In other words, just now, Mu Qingyun had used up all her energy. However, such a thing was completely against the common sense of the cultivation world. The person would need to warm up and slowly release their power. If they used up 30% of their body's total power in an instant, their body would face an immense backlash. A light consequence would be having their meridians torn, but it was also possible that their body would be blown apart. It was just like a stone mason striking a rock. The greater force they struck it with, the greater the backlash. That was why artisans used hammers made of softwood, not hardwood. It was to neutralize a portion of that backlash. For most cultivators, they could only use soft weapons if they wished to be capable of unleashing half of their total energy in one blow without injuring themselves. However, those kinds of soft weapons were very difficult to use. One mistake and they would die to their own hands. Even for those soft weapons, half their power would be the limit. These disciples had not heard of someone capable of unleashing their total energy in an instant and surviving. For a moment, everyone could only stare in amazement at Mu Qingyun. They were almost unable to believe their own eyes. Mu Qingyun might be pale, but she looked at Long Chen excitedly. Brother San, I did it. Long Chen smiled slightly and nodded. Not bad. Unfortunately, your control still hasn't reached a high enough level. There are still some flaws with your connection to your sword, resulting in you unable to fully synchronize with it. If your mental fluctuations fully became one with your sword, not a trace of your sword's power would leak out. At that time, the martial stage wouldn't be destroyed. Instead, it would be cut in two along with the formation. Everyone looked at Long Chen in shock. That terrifying sword of Mu Qingyun's was actually still flawed in Long Chen's eyes? Big Sister Qingyun is so amazing. Then can't you get into the top 10 of the Earth rankings? Zhongling supported Mu Qingyun excitedly. Long Chen laughed involuntarily and shook his head. That move was of little value in and of itself. It can't be used on a true battlefield. Where are you going to find idiots like Gu Zhen who will cooperate with you like that? Who would just stand there and let you gather power in a life and death battle? That move is of little use against others. Only an idiot like Gu Zhen who spent all his time insulting you so that you get infuriated would get killed. With your ears closed off, you didn't even hear him, but he actually thought your trembling was out of anger, and you were not resonating with your sword. In the end, he only died to his own foolishness. After he was done speaking, everyone realized the truth. It wasn't just Gu Zhen who had been fooled. They had also thought that Mu Qingyun's trembling was from anger. The reason people are so idiotic is because they don't understand what respect is. That's why you shouldn't bully others. Sometimes, you might choose to target someone who won't even give you a chance to kneel and beg for mercy. Long Chen glanced toward the gloomy Long Yenzong. His most capable subordinate had just been killed. Furthermore, Mu Qingyun's sword was absolutely terrifying. If that sword had been aimed at him, he also didn't know if he could receive it. Long Chen suddenly focused on Chu Yang, who was hiding in the crowd. With a disdainful smile, he indifferently said, "Chu Yang, you really are insidious. So you know how to use idiots, and the Academy's idiots are actually willing to be used by you. Why take advantage of other people's foolishness like that? If you have any real ability, why not use it openly? Being so treacherous makes others look down on you. Aren't you being a petty little person judging a nobleman? Your enmity with the heaven-melting valley is known to all. Throwing dirty water on others like this is truly the conduct of a little person." Chu Yang waved him off with a laugh. "I looked down on you before, but now I look down on you even more. After doing something, you don't even dare to admit to it. Does the Chu family have no guts at all?" Long Chen turned to Long Yenzong. "You're fortunate. My goal today was originally to kill everyone in the heaven-melting valley. But the heavens are helping you, so I didn't succeed. Since I can't pull you up by the roots, I can only settle for the second best thing. Killing Gu Zhen can count as killing the chicken to warn the monkeys. I know there are still many other idiots in the academy. If you wish to continue playing with Boss Long San, then Boss Long San will accompany you. However, I like to go big, and I'm not interested in little squabbles. If you feel like the path of cultivation is too boring and wish to reincarnate already, I welcome you to continue provoking me. In fact, everyone within the Unfettered Alliance and the Luo Gate will be available to you every hour of the day." After saying that, Long Chen left with Luo Bing, Mu Qingyun, and the others. Those domineering words continued to hang in the air. "Long Chen, wasn't there also a battle between us? Are you running away?" Long Yenzong shouted angrily at his retreating figure. Today, the vice leader of the heaven-melting valley was wiped out by the nameless Mu Qingyun. That was a giant slap in their face. If things ended just like that, the morale of the guild would be crushed. The only way Long Yenzong could think of to win back his reputation was to defeat Long Chen here. "Are you an idiot? Is your head broken? Boss Sen already said that you aren't even qualified to fight him. The second battle between you would only start if Gu Zhen could survive 3 moves. If you don't like it, go to the underworld and drag Gu Zhen back," replied Li Kai disdainfully. In truth, Long Chen had calculated things. He had used himself to bait out Gu Zhen. Even if Gu Zhen was 10 times stronger than expected, he wouldn't be able to escape his fate of being wiped out by that sword. However, to kill Long Yenzong in front of everyone within 3 moves would definitely require him using some of his trump cards. Exposing those just for Long Yenzong wasn't worth it to him. "Long Chen, are you afraid? I can get rid of the 3-move agreement. Let's have a fair battle," shouted Long Yenzong. Everyone looked at Long Chen once more with anticipation. It was said that Long Chen was extremely powerful, but after joining the Inner Academy, it seemed that he had never shown his true power. Even Bai Shirshir looked at him. Last time, Long Chen had schemed the explosive flame devil crocodile to death. He had relied entirely on a trick and not his true power. Hence, even she was curious as to just how strong he was. Within the Inner Academy, There were only two people that he couldn't see through. Now, an additional Long Chen had appeared, and she wanted to see how strong he was. If you feel like I'm afraid, treat me as afraid. You can continue provoking me. As for me, I am eagerly awaiting your Heaven-Melting Valley's guild blood battle with us. Long Chen didn't look back. He left with everyone, but his words made people quiver. As for the Heaven-Melting Valley's disciples, they couldn't even keep their fear from their faces. This fellow is truly arrogant. Watching Long Chen leave, one of the Heaven Female Alliance's disciples spoke up. He even scared senior apprentice Sister Qingqing. It seems that he doesn't care about our Heaven Female Alliance, snorted another disciple. Yu Qingqing had provoked Long Chen in the Divine Scripture Pavilion. After Long Chen had conceded, she pressed him for more, infuriating him. As a result, she was scared away by him, causing the Heaven Female Alliance's disciples to think that Long Chen was provoking them. Today, without even having to personally do anything, Long Chen had managed to suppress the third-rank guild. Hence, they were displeased. Young Master Changchuan hasn't been in the Inner Academy for a long time. If he was here, considering how domineering he is, Long Chen would definitely be put in his place. Alright, don't talk behind people's backs. We're leaving. Bai Shishir frowned. She clearly disliked this kind of behind-the-back gossip. That frown caused all those disciples to shut their mouths. Without another word, they followed Bai Shishir away. The rest of the disciples present also scattered. The news of Mu Qingyun killing Gu Zhen in one move rapidly spread. A disciple that had just joined the Inner Academy had killed rank 57 on the Earth rankings, someone who had experienced countless challenges and whose ranking had never dropped outside of the 60s once he got there. Although Gu Zhen's mouth was hateful, people had no choice but to admit that his power was not fake. Otherwise, he wouldn't have become Heaven-Melting Valley's vice leader. Mu Qingyun's famed sword. Countless people memorized this name. Furthermore, after killing Gu Zhen, she naturally took his ranking, becoming rank 57. However, in comparison to that battle, people had been anticipating Long Chen and Long Yenzong's battle more. Long Chen's fame had spread after his battle with Chu Kuang. Even so, after entering the Inner Academy, while he caused some small waves, he seemed to be low-key. No real giant battles had erupted. Hence, people were growing more and more curious as to his power. Just what gave him the confidence to challenge the rank 3 Heaven-Melting Guild to a blood battle with only a group of newcomers? Regretfully, they didn't get to see Long Chen fight this time, so many people thought that this was just empty bravado and that he only used Mu Qingyun's power to carry out an amazing act. Only a minority believed that Long Chen actually had such confidence, and that a person like him wouldn't just be showing off and using other people's lives as a joke. All kinds of discussions and guesses spread throughout the Inner Academy. This had truly shaken people. Long Chen was truly a madman who would gamble lives without batting an eye. That made some people look down on him slightly. However, those that wanted to test him gradually abandoned that thought. Long Chen didn't even care about Long Yenzong. If they dared to antagonize him, the consequences would be unthinkable. That was precisely Long Chen's goal, to scare away fools who had nothing better to do. He couldn't let them waste his precious time. By the time everyone returned to the Luo Gate's headquarters, Luo Ning had woken up, but she was still extremely weak. When she learned that Mu Qingyun had killed Gu Zhen, she didn't show much emotion. Long Chen then gave everyone a look to leave, resulting in him being alone with Luo Ning. Seeing him smile, Luo Ning angrily said, "What are you smiling out? Are you laughing at me?" Luo Ning's eyes reddened. She hastily turned away, holding back tears. "No, I'm not laughing at you. I just found that I really do like you," said Long Chen. "Scram over there." Luo Ning blushed. "Don't misunderstand, I'm just saying that I like your character." Long Chen raised his hands innocently. "Stop it. You already looked down on me, and Luo Ning couldn't endure any longer. Covering her face with her hands, she wept. Luo Ning was a stubborn person, and after being humiliated by others this time, rather than getting vengeance, she only drew more humiliation upon herself and ended up seriously injured. Only she knew just how terrible she felt inside. No matter how tough she appeared on the outside, her inner heart couldn't endure this impact. Long Chen then took out a chair and sat, simply sitting guard over her without saying anything. After crying, Luo Ning had vented a little bit. Seeing Long Chen just looking at her, another wave of vexation washed over her. "Do you feel very foolish?" asked Long Chen calmly. "Did I ask for you to care?" Luo Ning raged. "Why would I have to? You're the same as me. We're both very foolish and often do foolish things," said Long Chen with a smile. "Who would believe you? You're like a wily old fox. I'm just an idiot who doesn't have brains or martial power. At least you see yourself clearly." A teapot flew over and Long Chen ducked, causing it to smash into pieces on the wall. "Are you trying to pick a fight with me?" raged Luo Ning. "Don't think of others so badly. I came to advise you. You came to advise me to just kill myself?" Long Chen almost laughed. He then put away his smile and solemnly said, "I really have no intention of mocking you. I often do foolish things as well, and I swear to the heavens that what I'm saying is the truth." "You do foolish things when you're so smart? I don't believe you." Luo Ning looked at him doubtingly. Doing stupid things has nothing to do with someone's smarts. It has to do with character. As for character, it is something difficult to change. For example, if I was the one in your position, I would have made the same choice as you. In fact, with my temper, I might have directly killed him before the martial stage was opened, said Long Chen. Hearing that, Luo Ning's expression softened. Long Chen then continued, "An elder that I greatly respected once told me that people who do stupid things might not grow up to be amazing, but those who don't dare to do foolish things definitely won't have any future prospects. If a person could maintain their reasoning and rationality for everything, then they wouldn't even be human. Having lost the human Tao, how could you cultivate the heavenly Taos?" These were words that the old man had often told the heaven-splitting battle sect's disciples. What was worrisome was not someone who caused trouble, but someone who didn't dare to cause trouble. At first, Long Chen hadn't cared too much about these words. However, after all these years, he understood just how right the old man was. Looking back, he had been all too right. "You know how to advise people." Luo Ning suddenly smiled, feeling like the crushing weight on her had lightened a great deal. "It's not advice but facts. You think I'm smart because you haven't seen me when I'm stupid. But every person has done foolish things. For example, what's wrong with your Luo family's head to suddenly order that women in the family can't marry outsiders? Isn't that nonsense?" Long Chen spoke casually, but there was a glint in his eyes. "You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.